is what you need. True crime stories, secrets they'll feed. Say that gossip and political heat. I said what I said, bring to read. Truth comes but we're never late, yeah. Diamond stories is our fate, oh no. But the progress where voices speak. Tune in now, indulge every week. Who's in the spotlight, who to the fall? We got the scoops, we covering it all. From high society to those who recall. I said when I said stories that will end sprawl, yeah. Truth turns far, we're never late. Oh, no stone unturned, we're here to relate. Well, once you let, welcome to the channel, it's a bubble streak. Subscribe and join the town every week. Yeah. I join the channel, it's what you need. True crime stories, secrets they'll feed. Say that gossip and political heat. I said what I said, bring to read. Truth comes but we're never late, yeah. Diamond stories is our fate, oh no. But the progress where voices speak. Tune in now, indulge every week. Who's in the spotlight, who to the fall? We got the scoops, we covering it all. From high society to those who recall. I said when I said stories that will end sprawl, yeah. Truth turns far, we're never late. Oh, no stone unturned, we're here to relate. Well, once you let, welcome to the channel, it's a bubble streak. Subscribe and join the town every week, yeah.
Well, hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. And how's everybody doing tonight? It's not actually evening. In some places it is, but for me, it's nighttime. And so I guess if you're on the West Coast, it's still kind of, in the evening for you, but pretty much everywhere else it's nighttime for us, right? And so I just wanted to say hello to everybody. And let me take this banner down here. Not the banner, but the overlay down. So at least you can see my avatar talking. And so tonight we're gonna cover racism in America, right? I've been kind of watching the news and really been kind of contemplating on what I wanted to talk about tonight. I've really been wanting to do this live, but I kind of been shying away from it because Buckwheat always got something new coming, and so we cover him all the time. So I decided that I was going to go ahead and do this live tonight because it's so much going on in our everyday life and in our political lives, and so I don't get to talk about that much, and I'm on other panels talking about it, but I really don't cover it on my show. And I said that I was going to start trying to do a little bit more politics on my show. Now, you guys watch my lives, my shorts. So, I'm always putting something on a short. But as far as doing a live on it, I haven't really, dedicated too much time to that. And I really don't want to focus on it too much because let's keep it real. Agent Orange have something going on every day, right? And so if you sit here and watch this crap every day, it will probably depress you at the end of the day. And it is so many shenanigans that he's trying to pull, and really all of it is kind of like the Wizard of Oz. He's always implementing something, and then it goes to court, and then he have to back down. It's just like that immigrant that he sent to El Salvador. And come to find out, it's another immigrant that he sent over there that they're going to try to get back also. And so the last couple of weeks or 3 weeks, I don't know how long it's been since the guy been gone over there. I don't think it's been that long. I believe it's probably been around about a week to 10 days that they sent the guy over there. And so today, one of the federal judges told him that he's going to bring he better get ready to get this guy back over here, and that he's not playing with him. He blocked one of his court case. He blocked one of the orders that Trump tried to say that it was constitutional for him to send the guy over there. So the federal judge disagreed with him, and so now it's getting ready to be a tug of war. And I know a lot of people are wondering, well, he's the president. What can they do? Well, what they can do is we got a little thing called martial law, right? We got the not martial law, but we have some marshals that can go and pick him up. Now they say that they don't like to they get their orders from the DOJ, but if everybody in the cabinet is corrupt, including the DOJ, well then that's when the marshals will come in, and they will go in there and they will arrest him for not complying with court orders. And so I'm pretty sure one of those lawyers went ahead and informed him of that, because today he's singing a new tune about bringing the guy back. Last week when he had the guy in the Oval Office from El Salvador, him and the other guy was, making plans on sending homegrown people over to El Salvador. And that's meaning people that's in jail right now. So Trump said, if you hit somebody over the head with a bat and you push them over, on the railways, on the trains, that if you push them over to the rails on the train station, then you should go to El Salvador also. And I don't know where he get these crazy ideas of where he could, how he can send people overseas. And really it's just a fantasy of his, because let's keep in mind, he's a very cruel person. He has a very dark soul. Okay. And cruelty really is the point for him. Everything that he's doing it's all about cruelty, because he like inflicting pain on people, and he likes inflicting his cruelty on people, if that's a word. And if it's not, let me just say, he just like being cruel to people, point blank. And so everybody is complaining about all the things that he's doing, and he's not phased at all. The only thing that's going to phase him is our results. And the results meaning, i.e., you can go to jail if you don't comply with the court orders. And so that's why he's trying to sing his tune now. So probably within the next couple of weeks, Abrego will be coming back home to the United States to face the courts to see whether or not he's a gang member. And I didn't catch the other guy's name that they saying that's over there, that they questioning and that they want to bring back home. And I'm pretty sure it's a lot of people over there that he sent over there. And keep in mind, I didn't realize that this dude has sent over 300 people overseas already. I had no idea that he had sent 300 people until I started doing research on the matter, right? And so how cruel can you be? And I understand people don't want immigrants in America. But if you keep it real, immigrants is what help America keep going, because we're not going to go to those orange fields and lemon fields and apple fields and coffee bean. Well, we don't do the coffee beans here because they come from South America, but it's a lot of jobs that the immigrants do that Americans don't want to do. But some kind of way he's convinced everybody in America that these immigrants are taking American jobs, when in actuality, um, technology and downsizing, okay, and sending jobs, outsourcing jobs overseas, that's what's taking everybody's job. It's not immigrants. Immigrants basically do jobs that Americans don't want to do. But he's convinced his people that it's the immigrants, and of course us, anybody a person of color is really a problem in America. Let him tell the story. And so he's convinced a lot of people that the people of color are the problems in America, when in actuality it's really I'm sorry, but it's really more white people more of a problem than black people and people of color are, as far as brown people and Asians and Jews, and because he doesn't discriminate when it comes to everybody except for the white people. So really anybody can take the heat when it comes to him. Anybody can catch his force, because at the end of the day, like I said, Everybody is a problem except for white people. Let him tell the story. So I'm gonna go through the chat and I'm gonna speak to everybody, and then we'll get started with these shenanigans. And yes, thank you guys for joining the truth tellers, the truth telling squad tonight. Thank you, Shelly C, one of my moderators that's here, and I see Alice, the blessed child of God, is another moderator, and she's here. And so let me just go around and speak to everybody in the chat. And so Shelly was testing to make sure that I actually was going to do a live, because I did create a live last week to help one of my friends out, Victor the Veil. We did the Big U case, and we were going to try to stream it simultaneously on both channels, but she and I we're not good enough to do that yet. And we're going to have to learn a few more tricks of the trades before we can get that done. I'm thinking we're probably going to have to do a whole new system in order to stream simultaneously. And I think that's the way that everybody is doing it. But she and I, we just wasn't sharp enough to get it done. But I hopefully me and her can finish that case up, because I kind of got invested in that case too, and I'm gonna reach out to her and ask her when she want to finish up that case for those that was following that, because I thought that was an interesting case as well. And so, hello to you, Chick-fil-A. What's the start time? The start time is right now, Chick-fil-A. The start time was 9 o'clock. Let's see. Hey, Gina, thank you for being here tonight. And hello to you, Scorpio Mama. Thank you for being here tonight. And let's see, we have Alice, the blessed child of God. Yeah, happy Thursday to everybody. Thank you, Alice. And let's see. Hey, Karen, thank you for being here tonight. And we have Shirley's divorce finally. Hey, sis, thanks for being here tonight. Appreciate everybody that's joining the chat tonight. Love to laugh. Thank you for being here. Hey, Sunshine, you said you're gonna be in the bushes. Okay. Well, I got a long, I'm long-winded, Sunshine. So probably by the time you finish doing whatever it is that you're doing, I'll probably still be online. I'm gonna try to do a 2-hour show, but it never goes that way for me. I'm always going over the 2-hour time frame. So Alice say, does he realize that he's also a convicted felon? Alice, I don't think he's realized that. And I don't think the people that's around him remind him enough, that he should probably go to El Salvador along with the rest of the criminals that he's claiming that, the people that's criminals. Hey, Chocolate Drop, thank you for being here tonight. Hey, Foxy Roxy, thanks for being here tonight. And Alice says, like, share, and subscribe. Hey, hallelujah. Thank you for being here tonight. And let's see who else is in the chat. So I think that's everybody that's in the chat so far. And so Sunshine say, yes, I'm vested in that case and found out some big things on Big U. Okay, well, Sunshine, I don't know if you have Vicky's IG, but I do have my email address on my page. And let me run it across the screen. So if there's some information that you want us to talk about or go over, let me just put my email address on the screen. It's I said what I said 91@gmail.com. So if you want to send me that information, I'll make sure that I forward it to Vicky and we'll go over that as well. But I do plan on finishing that case, because you're right, it was a very interesting case. To me, it was. I enjoyed it. I didn't think I was, because I wasn't I'm not that familiar with rappers, but that case is so intriguing. It has a lot more going on than rappers. It's got it's really a true crime story. It's got murder in it, and murder is unalivement. But it's got gangsters in it, and you got somebody that's really gang related, because they're saying that he was in a gang. So it's a lot of things that's going on with that case. And Big U, he's trying to act like the godfather of California, in my opinion, the way that he act. Yeah, an NFL player is in it. That's right. And so it's got a lot of twists and turns in that case. And so if you guys want to follow that, what we'll do is whenever Vicky and I decide to finish it up, we'll put it both on our community screen, community post, so that you guys can know whenever we're going to finish that up. But I do want to finish it up, and I will get with Vicky and see when she'll be available to do that. Maybe we could try to get it done this weekend. I'm not sure, what her schedule is looking like, but I will reach out to her. And more than likely, she may join us tonight on the live once she see that I'm live. Oh, okay, yeah. And so there's my email address. I said what I said, 91 at gmail.com. And hey, SBK, thanks for being here tonight, brother. And so Sunday, guys, I'm going to be on SBK's channel, and we're going to be doing a women's forum. So everybody is welcome to come over to SBK's channel and watch that watch that forum. It's going to be a all women's panel, and we're just going to be discussing various topics on his channel. I don't know if he have a theme for it or not, but he do have a promo that's running. And so if you guys have subscribed to his channel, you can look at his shorts, and he do have a little small promo of the extra show that we're going to be doing Sunday night. And I can't wait for that, because I think I'm really going to enjoy that. And I always enjoy when I go to SBK channel, because he always have a lot of interesting topics, as well as Alice Bless God of Child. She always have a lot of interesting topics. And really, Alice always make you think. She always asks those questions that make you think a lot. And it'd be like little everyday things that you do every day, but but it also be a twist to it. Is something that you're not really thinking about, but you do it every day. So that's what Alice channel normally do for me. And so, hey, Lionel, thank you for joining us tonight. And Lionel say he won't enjoy it, because Lionel don't want to really hear a bunch of women talk, but he'll be there front and center, and probably will be the first one in the chat. He always say that he don't want to hear the women, but he always trolling all the women. So we'll see how that goes for you, Lionel. SBK just one rose. He just gave you one rose, Shelly C. He normally give out 3 roses, so maybe his fingers not feeling good tonight, or maybe he's kind of busy, as Shelly C. But he normally give us 3 roses. And Lionel say, SBK about to have too many women talking, shaking my head. And that's right. You never can get enough women talking, Lionel. And you know what? I'm not going to even play with you tonight. I'm not going to play with you tonight. And the topic that we're going to talk about, you may have something to say about all of it. I don't know how you feel about Trump, but this is what we're going to talk about tonight. And so SBK say, Alice, I can't wait to have you there. Yeah. Is Alice going to be Alice, you're going to be on the panel also? That would be great to have you on the panel as well. To get him, Shelly. Yes. Y'all make sure y'all keep Lionel in y'all keep him in line tonight in this chat. Okay. Don't let him get too out of hand. Because he really be trying to rather your feathers. So don't let him rather your feathers at all. So y'all don't even pay attention to his comments, because they're gonna be off the chain more than likely, okay? And so, but he doesn't mean any harm, though. He's a great guy. He really, really is. And y'all should visit his channel too, especially if you like animation. He does stories that he write on his own. He does his own art. And he's a very artistic guy. So you guys can check out his page also. And Alice will drop those links in the chat. Because she's familiar with their pages, and so that way you guys can subscribe to Lionel and SBK if you're not already a subscriber, if you're interested in that type of content. Okay, thank you, Alice. Make sure you keep him in line. And SBK, help out. I know he's your boy and everything, but you still can help keep him in line, SBK. Hey, Esau, thank you for being here today. You said you said happy thankful Thursday to you all. Well, happy thankful Thursday to you. And here's the lady of the hour. Hey, Victor DeVale. I was just telling everybody that we have to finish the the big U document. So you need to get with me and let me know when we're gonna get that finished up. Sunshine says she has some more information about it, and she's very invested in the story. And I am too. So I really want to finish those documents up, ma'am, if you don't mind. And not trying to put you on the spot or anything. And so Alice is dropping, this is SBK channel here. Alice dropping the channels if you guys want to subscribe to it. And come over there on Sunday and watch us on the forum. And it's going to be very interesting, guys. It's not going to be just your everyday forum. It's going to be a bunch of women, and SBK is going to have some topic. I'm sure he'll have a topic that he would like for us to discuss, because he normally have something interesting to talk about also. And hey, Vons, thanks for being here tonight. And Von will be on the panel also. And she has a channel that she speaks on every day. Not every day, but Vaughn come on probably maybe twice a week. And I like to drop links in the channel in my chat, because everybody is always shouting out my channel. All of these channels that I'm shouting out, all of these people have shouted me out also, and they also have great channels. If you guys just want something different to look at, or something different, do a little different spin on YouTube instead of just following buckwheat all the time, because I'm kind of, I like the story, but I want to start doing other things too, because that story is really coming to an end, and we're gonna have to find something else to talk about anyway. In which, if we go to politics way, Trump is going to give us something to talk about every day. You can rest assured of that. Um, let's see. Somebody else came into the chat. Let's see. Hey, Vivian, thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate you showing up. And so let me just give you a little background on of what I want to talk about. So making sure I don't miss anybody. And this is Lionel's channel here. And so now racism in America still persists today. And I feel like it's due to the combination of historical, systematic, and social factors. And the roots trace back to the colonial era and the transatlantic slave trade, which we all know about that, which was established, which really kind of established the racial structure in America, and it's really never been dismantled, or it haven't been forgotten about for whatever reason. Over time, the structures that were reinforced through laws, policies, and cultural norms, creating deeply embedded systems of advantage and disadvantages based on race. So basically, because we had the slave trade, um, black people and people of color have been left behind by America, and white America. I'm gonna just call it what it is. White America just haven't forgotten about that. And really, in my opinion, they would like for us to go back to that, but they already know nobody is having that right now. So instead of having slaves, in my opinion, in my opinion, they're using the prison system in America for the new slave system. They'll make sure that black people and the people of color go to jail, and they make sure that they give them a long period of time in jail in order to use them, so that they can get free labor from them in a lot of instances, and in a lot of states. Now, some of the states don't have the unalive penalty. And so what they'll do is, instead of giving you the electric chair or taking you out, then they'll just put you in jail for 99 years, or for the rest of your life, so that you don't ever get out. But when they do that to you, that's really a form of slavery, in my opinion, because you're never getting out, and you're going to be working in that penitentiary for the rest of your days until get out of here. So even today, the factors of segregation, um, implicit bias, and unequal access of resources perpetuate racial disparities. And additionally, passive racism, such as denial of systemic issues, can hinder progress addressing the challenges which require awareness, education, and collective action to build a more equitable society. And when I say that, I mean, like, up until 1970s, black people couldn't just live any place that they wanted to live. They had what they call redlining. And so if you were a person of color and you tried to move into their neighborhoods, they would make sure they put that on the application so that you wouldn't qualify for the loan. Okay. Or even if you qualify, even if you somehow got the money, they made sure that they wouldn't sell the house to you, or either lease the house out to you, or rent the house out to you. So that was one way of keeping Black America behind. Black America did build up what we call Black Wall Street in Arkansas. And when we did that, they burnt it down, because we had our own little city. We had our own little town where we had our own doctors and nurses and hospitals and schools. And it really was called Black Wall Street for a reason, because it was thriving, and the white people didn't like that. So they came up with an excuse to get that burnt down. They said this black boy um abused, well did committed SA on a white lady and caused a riot in the city. And within that riot, that's what burnt the whole city down. They went ahead and everybody was fussing and fighting or what have you, and then all of a sudden, the whole city was burnt down. So that that got that killed that plan. And Harlem used to be really thriving back in the day. And so what they did with Harlem was they came up and bought up all the real estate and kind of pushed black people out of business. And so now when you go to Harlem, you see it's like a multiracial community. It's not just black people anymore. You have all type of ethnicities in Harlem, and we all know that the mob kind of was over Harlem. Yeah, it also happened in Rosewood in Florida too. You're absolutely right about that, Scorpio, mama. And so it's like anytime Black America has tried to come up and do well. Hey, Marjan, thank you for joining us tonight. Anytime Black America has tried to come up or even get a leg up, they make sure that they knock us back down. And they just continue to teach their children racism. They continue to try to keep us oppressed with racism. And even like on TV, black people really just start getting on TV as far as a commercial go or a movie go. Now in the 50s, we had a few black people that kind of made it to the television screen, but really around the 70s is really when we start becoming more prevalent on television, right? Because up until that time, you seen nothing but white America. Everything was based on white people. The shows was based on white people. If you went to the movie theater, it was based on white people, and even the cowboy movies was based on white people, as if black people wasn't around during the cowboy days. And we were, it was black cowboys here first. And then the white people came in and decided to be cowboys, but really we had black cowboys, but they just don't tell you that in the history books. Now they're trying to get rid of our history books. They're trying to take black history out of the schools. They're banning all type of books in the libraries. And at this point, this current president that we have, he's trying to erase black history altogether. He's taken down Obama's picture in the White House. He's removed in the National Museum, Veterans Museum. He's removed all of the black people there. And he's dismantling all the DEI programs, which I saw that the Supreme Court, not the Supreme Court, but a federal court today shot him down with the DEI. Told him they blocked his executive order because he said that if the schools wasn't following DEI, that he was going to cut their funding. So a judge blocked that today. And finally, we have some judges that are challenging him and just not letting him steamroll his way through America and to remove all of our constitutional rights and all of the things that that we fought for as Americans. Because keep in mind, this has been a long road, and we still have a long ways to go when it comes to racism in America. A lot of people are still extremely prejudiced, and they still, really don't want us in the position that we're in. They don't mind having us here as long as we're below them. And as long as they feel like they're above us, then everybody is okay. But when you become professional, or when you become the president, or when you become what they call getting too big for your britches, then they want to bring you down a peg or two. And that's why right now you have a lot of things going on with the voting, because they don't want us to vote either, because they understand that their race is dissipating away. They're not the prominent race no more. And it was told like in the early 2000s that they weren't going to be the prominent race by the year 2030 or 40. And so now that's becoming a reality. So now they're fighting back and pushing back hard now. They're pushing back very, very hard now, because the rain is getting ready to come to an end, and they realize that. And that's not something that they really, they really don't want to deal with that. It's a real reality, and they really don't want to deal with that right now. They don't want to face that music. And that's why come they don't like the immigrants, because the immigrants, especially the Mexicans, they're having way more kids than any other race. And that's why it was already predicted in the early 2000s that they were going to be the more predominant race, because they're having more kids more than anybody else. Okay, a lot of the other groups are not having kids as fast as the Mexican people are, and some of them are legal and some of them are not legal. And so I don't mind them going through the system and becoming an American citizen the legal way. And you feel however you want to feel about it. That's just my opinion of it. But it's a lot of people that really don't want them here. And it's not just the white people that don't want them here. It's a lot of other people don't want them here either. I really don't have a problem with immigrants, really, because at the end of the day, it's immigrants. Everybody in America is an immigrant, in my opinion, because if you're not an original American Indian, then all of us are immigrants. All of us came over here or was brought over here. And really, it was the American Indians' land. And, white America just kind of took it from them and, you know, pushed them all off to the reservations, all the ones that they didn't take out. Okay. And so it's really nobody's land. It's really the Indians' land. And really, they're the least people to even get recognized in America. Now, they have their own reservations and they have their own laws and guidelines and bylaws that they follow, but they still have to follow the American Constitution. They do have a few other laws that they follow that they make up, but let them come on. Let's put it like this: let them if they leave the reservation and they do something against an American or whatever, you can rest assured they will be persecuted just like everybody else will, in my opinion. And so the racism is still going on because people are continuing to teach their children racism. Racism is not something that you're born with. Racism is something that you're taught. Okay, kids don't know the difference. If you'll notice, if you put kids in any type of setting, they'll play with each other no matter what color they are. Kids don't care about color. They don't know anything about color. So racism is taught to them. And it's not just taught in white people's home. In my opinion, it's taught in all homes. Whether you do it intentionally or unintentionally, it's still taught at home. And so when everybody stop making racism an issue and stop teaching their children to be racist, then that's when we'll get rid of racism, in my opinion. But until that time, baby, racism is going to be here. Okay, it's not going anywhere. Hey, champions, thank you for being here today. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody, and if I did, charge it to my heart, because I'm not really looking at the chat. I'm just kind of, I don't know, I'm looking in the air and just talking, really. And I don't know why I do that when I start talking. And hey, Charlie's Angel, thank you for being here tonight. But yeah, so racism, it's something that's taught. And I do have a couple of videos that we're going to do some commentary on. And just to prove my points, just to let you know, I'm not just sitting up here talking and I didn't just pull this out the air. I got some white people that's going to tell you what's going on. They're going to support everything that I'm saying. And the first person that I want to bring up is this lady called Jane Elliott. I know you guys probably have heard of her before because she's been around for a while. And she's been teaching this for, I think, over 50 years about colorism. And she's the lady. Have you ever heard of the blue eye test? And that's when she did this experiment with kids back in the 70s. And not the blue eye, but the brown eye test. And she did a test on these little children. And what she did was, everybody that had brown eyes, she gave them favoritism over the kids that had blue eyes. She just kind of flipped the script on the kids, and she asked them how they felt about it, and they didn't feel real good on the way that she was making a difference out of the kids with the blue eyes and the brown eyes. But what she did was, she gave preference to the children of color and the children who had the brown eyes. She gave them, like, the experiment was to make them feel special and to make the kids with the blue eyes feel not so special. And so she just really wanted to do that experiment to let the children know how it feels, to get to be discriminated against. And so she said that she's been receiving a lot of death threats over the years. She's been receiving backlash, and she really is like one of the few people in America that really will tell the truth about black and brown people and white people. So let's take a look at her video and then we'll come back and talk about it on the other side. So bear with me one moment. And let me take this out the let me take this comment off the screen so that you can see the video. Where is it at? Give me one moment. I didn't think it went up that far. Okay, so hold on one second, y'all, and let me bring it up for you.
If you watch our present so-called president, he spends most of his time either in his child or his parent ego state. He never gets into his adult ego state unless he's reading off the teleprompter. And he is such a poor reader that oftentimes he makes mistakes and then he is instantly in his child ego state right in front of your very eyes. It's absolutely fascinating to watch it happen.
Speaking of our president, a lot of people say that racism has risen under him.
Anybody who doesn't say that hasn't been paying attention. It absolutely has. I'm getting more hate mail now than I have gotten for years. The kinds of things that are being said in this country today are things that he has said for the last 2 years. He has said them publicly, and he got elected because he said them publicly. We have a group of people in the United States of America who were in response to 8 years of a black man in the White House and the possibility that they might have from 4 to 8 years of a woman in the White House, will elect anything that walks and can chew gum at the same time. This last election, as far as I'm concerned, was a direct response to having a black man in the White House for 8 years. And it's time to change the White House to the President's house. This is ridiculous to call the place where the President of the United States lives the White House. It sends the wrong message. It says, I remember when Richard Nixon said to a group of reporters, "I'm trying to save the White House for you white people." That says it all. And at that moment I thought, well, wait a minute. Now this is something that has to be changed, and it has to be changed. Nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. It's time to change the name of the White House to the President's house or the President's residence, which has a nice ring to it, don't you think?
Okay, let's just say that Donald Trump, President Trump, is trying to bring the country together like he said he would do. Wait a second, he's trying to bring the country together. How would he go about doing that?
Resign. If he really wants to bring the country together, all he has to do is resign and take his, with him? The second in command, the vice president. That would bring the country together. But right now, the only way he can bring the country together is put somebody else in the president's office. He does not know how to be a president. He does not know what legislation is about. He does not know how to do this job. He didn't intend to get this job. And had it not been for the Electoral College, he wouldn't have this job. Mrs. Clinton won the popular vote. The only reason we have this person as the President of the United States right now is because the members of the Electoral College didn't do what that Electoral College was designed to do. Thomas Jefferson designed that to make sure that no one who was unfit for that office would ever be elected President of the United States. The Electoral College last year absolutely defeated that.
All right, y'all heard it straight from her mouth. So she said the way that we can improve racism in America is to get rid of Trump. And she didn't say that we need to get rid of him. She said he needs to get rid of himself. He needs to resign, and I absolutely agree with her wholeheartedly. And I'm going to read some of y'all comments because it looked like some of y'all recognize who this lady is. So Marjan say also they have white people playing Native Indians in movies. Oh yeah, they do that all the time. They Marjan, not only do they not have white people playing playing Native Indians in movies, they used to have white people in blackface playing black people in movies also. And a lot even over the years, just even the past 10 years, we've seen on college campus where white kids have dressed up in blackface thinking it's funny. Dressing up as black people. And I know y'all remember that lady Rachel. I forgot her last name, but remember she was going around acting like she was black, putting on black makeup or what have you. And it's all ridiculous. Just be who you are. And it really doesn't make a difference what color your skin is, because we're all striving for the same thing. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in America. That's really what everybody is striving for, really, at the end of the day. And if anybody get on an operating table and you cut people open, they're all the same color inside, which is pink and red. Pink because that's what color your organs are, and you're gonna bleed some red blood, okay? When you look on the inside of everybody. So Foxy Roxy say he trying to shut down the Black Museum here in DC. He's trying to do it at any place that he can, Foxy Roxy. And he probably won't achieve that goal. And even if he do, it's only going to be temporary, because he's saying that he's wanting to do a third term, but that's not going to happen, not at all. And Alice is okay. You guys are just speaking to each other. So Scorpio Mama say yes. That's why they did not want us to have many babies. Yeah, and that's well, I won't say that's the reason why birth control was implemented, because really birth control was implemented for the white lady, because they didn't want to have too many children. And normally whatever they get for themselves, then it spills over into the rest of America. But it took black women a long time to even discover birth control, and the white women were taking it like in the 40s and 50s and 60s, and black women really didn't start knowing about it until the middle 60s, and that's when they began taking birth control pills, so that they wouldn't have a house full of kids. Because if you look at history prior to that, black families used to be really, really large. They used to have 10 to 15 people in their families. So Marjan say, oh my God, thank you for making me. Oh, okay, you're welcome, Marjan. And I hope you guys didn't mind, but I told you guys I was going to make y'all some mods after the last show. And that way, poor Shelly C won't have to work so hard, because I only had one mod. And Scorpio Mama say, I see 3 white babies compared to seeing one baby for blacks. You say, I see 3 white babies compared to seeing one baby for blacks. Exactly. And Scorpio Mama, they don't want to I don't know why they don't want to recognize black people, because at the end of the day, we all been here around the same amount of time. Okay. Because first, yeah, the Europeans came, and as soon as they got here, they didn't really want to work and farm the land or whatever. So they came up with the big idea to go to Africa and get some black people and let the black people work the land for them. I haven't. If somebody know the exact time frame of how long the colonizers was here before black people got here, can you put that in the chat? Because that's one thing that I didn't look up. So if somebody know that information, put that in the chat. But we basically all been here around the same amount of time, because they needed us to do the work for them. And that's another thing. The slaves are the reason why white people are so rich right now, because we worked their land for them. They came over here, they took the land from the Indians. I remember even watching an old documentary where different states was asking people to come and live in that state, and they would give you free land, because they didn't have enough people, to populate the states. And so I know Oklahoma was one of the places that they was giving out free land if you just came and settled on in the state. So like I said, they took everybody's land, and even they promised black people land when they made them indigent servants, right? They was like, well, if you farm this land long enough and you pay me these, pay a certain amount of money, then after 100,000 years, then the land will be yours. And they still reneged on that too. So Alice says she don't have a problem with immigrants either. I don't know why we would. Like I said, they do jobs that everybody else don't want to do. Foxy Roxy say that's why they stopped the AB, so they have to have babies. They found out it wasn't us. Exactly. Because normally we don't go that route. We normally, if most of us, if we get pregnant, we normally go ahead and carry that fetus on through. We normally don't get rid of it unless it's it have to be a special circumstance for us to do that. And Scorpio mama say, I don't want to seem prejudiced, but I tell the truth. Well, you don't have to be prejudiced, Scorpio mama. This is my channel over here. And you are free to have whatever opinion that you want to have, because we all, have a different view. We all have a different opinion. And so you're not going to be ostracized or prejudiced. You're not going to be talked about not on this channel. You're not, for having your own opinion and view. And Marjan say people who are trying to get citizenship are not doing crimes, because for them to get a citizenship, they can not move. Uh, they cannot have any illegal activity. That's right. And we're gonna talk about that too. We're gonna talk about this crime stuff of who's committing all the crimes, Marjan. We're gonna talk about that in just a moment. And Foxy said he paid El Salvador to house any criminals from the United States. I know he's giving this man $300 million to do this. Okay, when we got prisons here in America that really need a lot of upgrading. A lot of them need air conditioners, a lot of them need heaters, and a lot of them just need a whole facility all point blank together. And that's money that he could have been giving these states so that they can upgrade their prisons. Especially the local jails. A lot of them are just crumbling, and a lot of them are just filthy and nasty. And a lot of these places need updating. And I'm not saying that people don't do things to go to jail, but even if you're going to put them in jail, they don't have to live like animals just because they've committed a crime. And Alice say it's definitely taught. Yeah, racism is definitely taught. It's taught. It's not something that you're born with. It's taught at your home. And Marizon say exactly. People have to learn how to hate each other, hate other people. They do. It's something that's taught. And like I said, it's not just taught in white homes. It's taught in all homes, in my opinion, because the way we operate in America, it seemed like everybody kind of just group off into their little groups. Like when I was in Dallas, they had the Indian community had their groups. The Chinese people had their groups. The black people lived in a certain area, and white people lived in. Everybody's just kind of grouped in their own little groups. And I'm not saying there were exceptions to the rules, because some neighborhoods were mixed, right? But for the most part, you knew where Chinese people were. You knew where the black people are. You know where the Indians are. It's just different little towns and segments of town are designated for different groups. When I lived in Garland, um, right off of downtown, it used to be just white people there, right? And then black people started moving into the neighborhood. All of a sudden, before I left, they had a whole street, a whole 2 or 3, maybe 4 streets, like a whole little area that had nothing but Chinese stores. And so, like I said, everybody is kind of grouping together. So it's not just white people doing it. Everybody in America is kind of getting their own little groups, and they're all just going into their little corners. And I don't really understand why. I just don't. And Foxy said, okay, sister, ready for the videos. Okay. Yeah, I got some videos for you, Foxy Roxy. And you say Jane is your girl. So you guys are familiar with Jane. And so Alice say, yeah, Jane Elliott is always on point. Yeah, she's like one of the people that's being real in America and telling the real truth. Okay. And Scorpio Mama say, yes, that lady is wonderful. And Marjan say the issue is that white people will become the minority in about 10 years. Exactly. And that's why they're doing all these voting laws and real IDs. And now he want to do a birth certificate and a passport to go vote. But the Supreme Court shot that down today. They shot that down this week also. So that ain't happening. He wants to do all of these things, but he can't. And Shelly C said the likes are liking. Keep it up, please. Then thank you. And subscribe and share the content. And also, I just hope these courts hold his feet to the fire, because a lot of this stuff he's doing is illegal. And really, the Republicans are on board with it, because they understand that they're not going to be in power, and they're not willing to lose their power. And don't think they're not going to go out with a fight, because this is what they're doing right now. They're all fighting to stay in power. And just like she said, when Barack Obama became the president, that scared the bejesus out of all of them, because that let them know that America is ready for a change, and America will elect somebody other than a white man. And a lot of people don't like that. And Vaughn say, I remember her. I thought she was unalive. Now she not unalive. She's still there. She's still not there. She's still here. And Shelley says she is the one that talked about how small countries are made to look bigger on the map. Exactly. Lionel said he's laughing. Yeah, you think this is funny, Lionel? Oh, you're talking about the video more than likely. Foxy Roxy, I said that 5 years ago that because of white people becoming the majority, they will be more violent. And they are. And it's gonna get worse than this, Marjan. We ain't this is really the beginning of it, in my opinion. January 6th was part of that. Of him trying to stay in office and really of them trying to do an uprising. It's gonna be worse than January 6th. Watch and see. And so they better try to get a handle on it, because the whole thing about it is, while y'all trying to save yourselves and trying to keep y'all power, y'all gonna take a lot of yourselves out. And it's not, and Trump already done took a lot of people out anyway with the C-19 virus. Remember, he had them believing that they didn't need the vaccine and that everything was a hoax. He also told them to inject some bleach, take some medication that wouldn't even help the virus. But he was the first one who took the COVID medication. He was the first one. He was the guinea pig for that. He was the first one to take a vaccine, but he telling his people not to do it. And what did they do? They follow suit. They did exactly what he told them to do. So a lot of them not even here because of him, and they still voted him in office. And Lionel said, ain't no way that orange man is trying to bring us together. No, he ain't trying to bring nobody together. Really, he's trying to take us apart further than what we were. And that's the problem, because a lot of their kids want to integrate with our kids. And I know you see this more than ever now. It's a lot of mixed people running around here also. And so they're not liking that either, because their kids are not, they're trying to teach it to their kids, but the kids ain't buying it. Okay. The kids are still integrating and mingling with other races, and they don't like that. And their kids love everything about us. They try to braid their hair. They listen to our music. They try to dance like us. They try to sing like us. They try to rap like us. They try to do everything that we do, because what black people are what trendsetters. Unfortunately or fortunately, we are trendsetters, and people, they like our swagger, they like our style for whatever reason, and they can't stop their kids. And their kids just not on board with all the crazy crap that they're trying to teach them, because kids, like I say, kids don't see color. Okay. And then, each generation, they're gonna turn their nose up to it. The more generations come out, the more generations don't want to be racist. And Marjan say also the White House was built with slaves. Yeah, the slaves built the White House, Marjan. And let's see what else you guys saying. SBK is just agreeing with me. Chocolate Drop say the devil definitely did a number on the clear folks, period. Right. And it wasn't the devil. I mean, I guess you calling Trump a devil, because that's who the devil was. They sit there and listen to him, even though everybody have known that he was, he was a liar. And it wasn't hard to fact check him. You can fact check anybody in Google or any AI tool that we have available now. And so they decided to just listen to Fox News instead of being open and listening to everybody's news, because I listen to the news that I listen to, but I also listen to the other side too, just to see what they're saying also. And really, you can learn from anybody as long as they're telling the truth. Now, we know Fox is like a state media at this point. They don't hardly tell the truth. Although they told the truth about his they're telling the truth about his approval rating, and he got mad and talked about him today, saying that they was a failing. They need to get rid of their poster, and they need to get rid of the Wall Street Journal and get it together, because they all lying. And he was up tweeting early this morning about Wall Street Journal and Fox News, because they gave him some bad news that he don't want to hear, and he's like a petulant child. You can't tell him bad news. He only want to hear real good news, or else everything else is fake. When you give him the real news, then that's what gets his feathers rathered for whatever reason. He can't handle the truth, in my opinion. That white lady is invited to the cookout. She invited to the cookout. Her name is Jane Lionel. SBK say facts. You want her to come to the cookout also? But Marjan say Robert, who is African American in 74, think that America is more racially biased now than ever before. and Robert has had a cross burning in front of his house in Kentucky. And I believe that, and Texas ain't too much better. Matter of factly, Greg Abbott signed a Doge bill for Texas yesterday. So I wonder what that's going to entail. So really, he's trying to be like the mini Trump or what have you, because he think he have enough supporters here in Texas to go along with Trump, and he's betting that Trump is gonna win, and what little Hot Wheels is gonna do is him and Trump gonna get ran out of office is what's gonna happen. And I'm kind of tired of Greg Abbott and his shenanigans here in Texas, because everything that Agent Orange want to do, then he always try to do a mini plan here in Texas, and it's not gonna work. Okay, because it's a lot of black people and people of color in Texas, and y'all, they may have voted him in, but they will go and protest him just like they protesting Trump. And chocolate drop say, unfortunately, Trump is not the face of racism. He simply shed the light on the facts that still exist. That's right. It's like we already had a sore, and what Trump did, he pulled that scab off the sore to make it, to make it even worse, to make make the white meat show up. And so Vicky say they promoted AB or oh, okay, they promoted AB in the black community to get rid of us. Yeah, they did. It didn't work though, Vicky. Not a lot of us did that though. Let me just say something about black people. Black people are some of the most conservative people than any other group. People talk about us a lot. People, the news media, try to make us look bad. And in actuality, black people are more conservative than white people are. At the end of the day, a lot of black people go to church. A lot of our churches are very conservative, and a lot of black people, it's a lot of things that we don't do that other races do, and we just don't tolerate that type of foolishness in our community. And so I'm not saying that there are exceptions to the rules, and that we don't, that we're just, the cream of the crop or anything. But black people as a monolith, we're really very, very conservative in my opinion. Hey, Urban, thank you for joining us tonight. And so Foxy say it looks like we back to my days during the cross burning in the South. Well, Foxy, that's where Agent Orange want us to be. And I thought we was Urban said this the other night on his channel when I was on his channel the other night. That he was disappointed in America because he thought we had come further than what we are. And Urban, you're not wrong. We were moving the needle. It's just that when Agent Orange came in office, he kind of pushed us back a little bit, because American was, in my opinion, we were beginning to get along with each other. I'm not saying that we didn't go home and talk about each other, close our doors and just sit and stated our real feelings. But, we were able to live by one another, in the same neighborhoods. We were able to work together. And there were some laws implemented to give us equal foot setting on, so that we all can have an opportunity. Right. And we had laws, the civil rights laws, and we had I don't want to say DEI laws, because DEI is just diversity, equity, and inclusion. But affirmative action, we had affirmative action laws in place. And so and we can vote now without being ostracized, or without them burning down our houses, or without being retaliated against. So let's just put it like this. We were all tolerating one another. I'm not saying that we was in love with each other and it was all kumbaya. I'm not saying that. But we were beginning to tolerate each other. And some of us was able to, move up on our jobs because of our merits, and not because of DEI or affirmative action or any of those laws that were put in place. And let's keep it real. They had to put those laws in place in order for us to even try to get a leg up. And the unions really helped us out a lot, which they're dissipating now, because they don't like the unions. Because see, when you're in a union, you have more equal playing grounds, right? The field is more equal. And so that's the reason why they all hate unions. You have to get a fair wage. You have to hire people based on their merits and not their color. You couldn't even the discrimination laws that came into effect, you couldn't discriminate based on race, color, or sexual orientation or religion, or whatever else is in that. It was a more of a equal playing ground, and now they're kind of rolling all of that back, Urban. So I thought America was further than what we were and what we are, and we were until Trump came in office. And so, really, I'm not saying that they forgot about racism, but they were able to tolerate it and act a little bit better about racism than what they're doing now. Because when he came in office, it was like, okay, the gloves are off and we all can act like we want to act. And so now, even in public, because used to be in public, however people felt, they kept that at home. They didn't put it out in the public's eye. Now it's back in the public's eye again. So now everybody just acting the fool the way they want to act. So Foxy say it looked like we back. Okay, I just read that one. And Marjan say he also took out many of the African American soldiers from the Pentagon website. Yeah, he did that. And then they had to put it back on again. Yeah, right. So, he's just doing a bunch of crazy crap. And Urban, okay, you just speaking to Urban. So Foxy say the first permanent English settlement established at Jamestown in Virginia, in Virginia, Jamestown, Virginia in 1607. Okay, so Roxy, when did the slaves arrive in America? Because I'm pretty sure it wasn't too far after that. Trust me when I tell you that. Champion say, I live in a touristic town out west. The Native Americans built a museum here, and I visited and learned so much. It became emotional to my spirit. And guess what else, Champion? When I was in school, our museum had a display of the Native Indians, and I was so intrigued. And I always thought of the museum. I always felt like the museum taught me so much, and I learned so much about the planetarium and about the Indians at the museum. And that was like one of the most funnest trips when we would visit the museum. And we did that probably in the fourth, fifth, and sixth grade. That was like a field trip that we all had to go to, and that we all enjoyed. And they told us about the cowboys and the white settlements and all of that too, but the Indians really was the main focus of our museum here in the small town that I was raised in. And so Vaughn say hit the like button. Yeah, please do. And everyone follow this channel playlist and Alice playlist to get both channels watch hours up. Thank you, Marjan. But trust me, baby, girl, I get these watch hours every month. Trust me when I tell you that, because I do marathon. Like I'm like Vaughn. I get at least 2,000 to 3,000 hours every month on my channel. I don't know how I'm doing it, but I'm doing it, and I'm not even live that much. I think it's because of the shorts that I put out. So Karen said, my husband is a Puerto Rican and I'm Black, and we have both experienced racism from all sides. Exactly, Karen. That's why I said it's not just white people that's racist. Okay, it's all people, in my opinion, because if you got a grandma, okay, now a lot of people can attest to this. You got a Black grandma. Your Black grandma didn't really put too much like other races, okay? I know my grandmothers didn't. And they hated Nixon, and they talked about him, and they talked about white people like they were dogs. And so they didn't change my view about people, but that's just what it was. Anybody that's in our generation and down, especially the baby people that was born in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and they had a grandparent. Those grandparents had to experience segregation. They had to experience Jim Crow. So a lot of our grandparents didn't care that much about white people because of the experience that they had. Okay. And it wasn't like they said, don't like these people, or it's not something that they taught to us, but it was something that they talked about. And it was just understood not to go that route. And if a lot of my cousins, or even my brothers and sisters, even my mom, she was born in the 40s. And so even my mom, they didn't want you dating outside your race because they were fearful that you wasn't going to be here, that you was going to be unalived if you dated outside your race. And that's exactly what would happen. If you dated outside your race before the 70s, it was a possibility that you may come up missing, or they was going to put you in jail, and the person on the other side may holler that you graped them. and you would go to jail for that if their parents found out. So it was still a big deal in the 70s. Really in the 80s, it kind of, in the 80s and 90s, depending on where you were, okay? In the 80s and 90s, you still could get in trouble. And even today, a lot of people still don't like it. If you have a mixed relationship and you go out in public, look, check and see how many people gonna look at you crazy. Okay, it is just what it is. And so, hey, Soul Session, thanks for being here tonight. And so let's see if anybody else. Foxy say, teach sister. Oh, thank you, Foxy. Chocolate Drop says, whites are the only group of people who carry the racist torch. There are no other groups of people out here targeting other groups of people seeking to do harm to them. And you're absolutely right about that, Chocolate Drop. Now, other groups don't target other groups other than white people, and they target themselves also, and they really are the only people that can really be persuaded by a politician. Okay, because other people listen to politicians, but they don't act up on politicians. If a politician told some black people to come and storm the Capitol, baby, black people would be like, he crazy. We ain't finna do that. And I don't know about other groups, but I know we wouldn't have been doing all of that because what we value is our freedom. And so a lot of people would have been, our cooler heads would have prevailed and we would have been like, okay, dog, that's your fight, but it ain't ours. Now we'll vote for you and we'll do what we can, but we ain't finna do all of that for you. We're not going to put it all out on the line for you. And so really after the civil rights era, in my opinion, black people just don't put themselves out there like that no more. Black Lives Matters did, but that was just only a portion of us. It wasn't a majority of us going out there to march. Black people really kind of like after the civil rights, they really kind of stopped marching on doing all that marching and trying to fight for justice because it seemed like it's not going anywhere. And I'm not trying to encourage anybody not to fight for justice because we should always try to fight for justice. But you have to be smart about what you fight for these days. And you have to be smart about what you go out there and march for and when you go march. Now, what I will advise you to do is stay at home during this administration, because in my opinion, this dude is doing everything he can to try to get the black people out in the streets so that he can declare martial law, i.e. putting making the military come out and take us out, because that's really what he wants us to do. And I really feel like that's why he's implementing a lot of these executive orders. I really think he's just trying to make us mad so that we will spill out in the streets. But black people are smart about that. They're not going for that. And a lot of time, and most of the time, a lot of black people attitude is the ones that's against Trump. Our attitude is y'all put him in office, or y'all are the ones who need to get him out of office. That's what's going around on social media sites. And I'm not saying that's everybody, but that's what the majority of the people saying. And Foxy said that's why I watch content creators on YouTube like TYT, Midas Touch, and Reese Waters, and some. My bad. I don't know how my mouse must have hit the mute button. I'm sorry. So Foxy said, I experienced Jim Crow um, when I visited my grandma and when I moved in to North Carolina in the 60s and 70s. And what I was saying, Foxy, is you're still going to experience some racism in the South because it's the South. And it depends on where you go at. Like here in Texas, look at Sandra Bland. She was in a small town in Texas, right? And so that's how she became unalive because she was in one of those little small towns right outside of Houston. And so you have to be careful still in the South because there are still a lot of racist cops. I remember in 2006 or 2008, I remember reading in the Dallas Morning News or Google. It was somewhere where I was reading where the Proud Boys were saying that they were going to make sure that they got on the police force, and I believe them because there's so many racist cops now in the South. And they said that they were going to inundate the police force so that they can inflict the pain, on take the black people out. And that's exactly what they did, in my opinion, because we do have a lot of racist cops here in Texas. Not saying all of them are, but we do have some. Hey, cross country cruiser, how you doing tonight? And thanks for hanging out in the bushes. And Shelley said my grandfather was able to get the 40 acres and a mule, bought more afterwards. I bet it wasn't. I know it wasn't that many people able to take advantage of that. Shelley, Missouri Kings, thank you for being here. You say Edom whites have always been racist. Racism in the judicial system. Notice how whites get lesser sentences for the same crimes. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans get harsher sentences. Exactly, and we all know that. Missouri Kings. Um, they get chance after chance after chance, and even look at this little boy. What is his name? I can't believe I forgot this little boy name is quick. With the situation here in Dallas, with the little boy stabbing the other little boy. Now, if we would flip the script, and if the white boy have stabbed the little black boy, he wouldn't even. They would have already indicted. They wouldn't have never indicted the white boy. They would have said that it was self-defense, and it probably wouldn't even be that much said about it. Okay, not that much at all. Kyle Rittenhouse went to Charlotte. Remember, he went to Charlotte, North Carolina, at the Black Lives Matters march, and powed a lot of people. And remember, Trump pardoned him, so he out of jail and everything. They raised all kind of money for him when he went to court and everything. And then Trump pardoned him, so he walking around free right today. Now they're not gonna do that for this little black boy. Okay, they're gonna try to throw the book at him if they can. And you see what social media is trying to do with the story. They're trying to turn it, trying to make it look like he's such a horrible kid. And this little kid's never even had a record before, never been arrested, never been in a gang, did nothing but had good grades and was in sports and was thinking about trying to figure out what college he was going to go to. But now they're trying to say that, he's a whole unaliver. So, that proves your point right there, Missouri Kings. And the Soul Session say, you are so right. We ain't going to do just because somebody said, oh, no, we ain't doing something because somebody tell us to do that. Now, what we will do is if it's a group of us and somebody take off running, then we'll start running with them. Okay, yeah, I saw that, you guys, that I had no sound. And okay, Carmelo, yeah, what's his name? Carmelo Anthony, right? And Alice say we have racism in the DMV area too. Y'all do. I didn't think it would be that in the area that you're in the Maryland area. I just didn't think that it was that much racism until Agent Orange got back in office, and then I started seeing, a lot of different scenarios going on, especially in Washington. I always thought that Washington and Maryland was predominantly black, so I didn't think it was that much racism going on there, Alice. So, I'm really just kind of, kind of shocked about that. But anyway, we have another video. So I got through all of y'all clips. I mean, through all of y'all comments. And so let's listen to this conservative lady here. she really is. It's about 5 minutes long. And let me get rid of this comment so y'all can let's see this, Alice, so y'all can pay attention to the video. Now, I thought she was very interesting, and really, she just kind of support the statements that I've been making about white people and their racism.
You know, I keep seeing on my post and on a lot of other people's posts that people commenting, why don't the Trump supporters understand or see what we see? As an ex-conservative, I think I can kind of help y'all with that. Understand, if you'd like. First of all, you got to understand this is not about politics. This is about what they're taught. It's about their upbringing. And from a very young age, we were taught that the leftists, that the Democrats were godless. Okay? We were taught that the world is against us. And we were taught that questioning authority is a complete sin. We were also taught that leaders like Trump were sent by God. This is indoctrination. That's what indoctrination is. And you have to understand, it's every day. It's from the pulpit 3 times a week. It's from every day in your home, your mother, your father, whoever you're with that's this way, telling you over and over and reminding you over and over again. If you miss God's plan, your life is shot. If you miss his plan for your life, oh well, I don't know what's going to happen then. They make you feel when you doubt them or you doubt the beliefs, you're betraying them and that God would not be happy with you. It is so hard to break free. The only reason I did is because the truth became too overwhelming to deny. And also, I'm not going to lie, it's because my mother died. I became free when she passed. So it isn't just a matter of looking at the TV and saying, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that to people. That's not how it is. See, when you're taught every single day, every waking minute is a lesson on how to die to yourself and live for God. And when your pastor tells you that Trump was elected, Trump was sent by God, you believe him. So when we see MAGA acting like this, when we see Trump supporters that will not admit when they're wrong, this is why they're indoctrinated. It is not easy to break out of, but it is possible, and it is necessary. I know it because I lived it, and it took years to break me out of it, And I hate that about this journey, but I'm just so thankful that I did break out of it. Let me tell you about the racism. We were taught that the black population came from Ham, who is Noah's son, one of Noah's sons, and that when Noah got drunk in his tent, y'all can read this in the account of Genesis of the flood, his sons went in and things ensued, okay? We were taught that the black population came from a curse put on to Ham by God for these acts. Now see, and it is still taught in churches. That is not true. That is a complete fallacy. So see, it made racism seem more righteous. Get that? But it's a complete lie. But it made it seem more righteous. And it shapes how you see the world. Oh, it's so wrong. Also, I was also taught that gay people were absolutely disgusting. That if you were homosexual, you were completely against God and you would not be going to heaven. They pounded that in our heads over and over again. And I just think back to all the precious gay people and the gay guys at our school that had to be so afraid. And we've all heard, hate the sin, not the sinner. Love the sinner, not the sin. But see, that's really just fear and judgment in disguise. That mindset leads to real harm, children unaliving themselves, and growing up with a life full of just self-loathing. And when you are raised in a mindset that your way is the only way and any other way is unrighteous and rebellious, you were taught that your questioning was rebelling. See? So that's why people are doubling down now, even though they feel it. They feel it, trust me, y'all. They know it and they feel it. They believe that they are not just defending Trump. They really believe that defending this entire system, this entire administration of hate, number one, isn't rebellion, and number two, it's going to get them into heaven and keep them out of hell. That's not what it's about at all. If y'all ever have any questions, if you want me to try to answer them for you, I was in the conservative faith and fundamental Baptist church in the South for 48 years of my life. Christian school from 4K to 12th grade. I got you.
Okay. So there y'all have it. She's given us a bird's eye view from the Christian white nationalists, the conservative evangelicals that they talk about on TV all the time. So she's telling us where they're coming from. And so, like I said earlier in the live, it is taught to you. It's not something that you're born with. Racism is not something that you're born with. It is taught in your home, in your community, and look like in their churches. And I when I first saw this video, I was shocked. I really was, because I didn't know that this is what, they were teaching at, at their churches, and how hypocritical. They're saying that they're Christians, and but they're ostracizing everybody else that don't believe the way that they believe. So you see how they be burning down different Muslims churches. They burn down Jewish churches. And they've even burned down, some black churches in the 60s. Remember, they burnt up the church with the four little black girls in the church, and they burned our churches down. And so it's like, if you don't believe what they believe, then whatever your belief is and the way that you was raised, or whatever you do is wrong, and everything that they're doing is totally right, and you're totally wrong in whatever it is that you believe in. So if you're trans or gay or Jewish or black or green or purple or yellow or blue, it's all wrong, because you're not believing what they're believing in. You're not going with their ideology. And so they're out in their mindset, their ideology is the right one and everybody else is wrong. And that's why they condemn all other groups. And I wholeheartedly believe this lady, what she's saying, because like she said, she was in the church for 40 years. And it was even preachers all on YouTube, all on TV, and all across other social media platforms preaching this type of hate, especially when Obama was in office. They were saying that he was an abomination and that he shouldn't be the president. And remember, he got all kind of flack for just wearing a tan suit, when George Bush had a tan suit on, Bill Clinton, Reagan, all of the presidents don't wore a tan suit in the modern day era. But Obama was ostracized for wearing it. They hated Obamacare. They hated anything that Obama came out with. They hated it, and they stopped him every step of the way that they could. And a lot of people say, well, he didn't do much for us when he was in the presidency. He couldn't. He had the first 2 years, he had the Senate and the House. But after that, baby, they stopped him in every area. They even stopped his Supreme Court nominee, which that seat stayed open for a whole year before he left office, and Mitch McConnell wouldn't even allow it to go through. He wouldn't allow Neil Gorsuch to be the Supreme Court justice because he said he wanted the American public to vote in a new president and let them make the decision. Although when Trump was in office, 3 months before he was getting ready to leave, they put Amy Comey buried in there. So it's always a double standard when it comes to us and them. Okay. Hey, New Esther family, familia, thank you for being here tonight. But I feel like this lady is telling the truth about her people, because she know about her people, just like we know about our people. She know about her people. And I'm not saying all of them believe this, because all of them don't go to church, but the majority of all the Christian evangelicals, this is what they're being indoctrinated. This is what they're being taught. And indoctrinated to me is just like you being taught to be in a cult like state. That's what that means to me. And so, they all been put in a cult for, most of their life. And did you hear what she said? She was set free after her mom passed away. And that's when I was talking about grandparents. A lot of our grandparents, a lot of them are very prejudiced because they had to go through the Jim Crow era. And so a lot of our grandparents, they just, they wasn't feeling the white people because of the way that they was raised. And it's the same thing here. And she said that their belief is biblical. Okay, believe that or not. And they love to throw the Bible up when they feel like it. They like to throw the Bible up when it suits them best. If they can find a part in the Bible that suits their narrative, then you can best believe they're gonna pull that out. And so Alice says, if you go to certain parts of Maryland and Virginia, it's nothing but rump country. Okay. Another truth teller, Alice. Yeah, she is telling the truth. Even when they witness him holding the Bible upside down for a photo prop. Yeah, they just uphold him. And I believe what she's saying, but two things could be true at once. I also believe that they want to be this way, whether they was taught this way or not. A lot of them just don't like black people for whatever reason. They want to hate other races. They want to be superior of everybody else, and they want to be in charge of everybody because they've been in charge for so long. Their skin card has allowed them to maneuver in America and walk around, like they're privileged. They've been using their white privilege for so long, and they're not willing to give it up. And you can rest assured, I'm not trying to promote this, but I think it's going to be some more bloodshed before they give that power up. That's how strong they believe about it. It was some blood shedded on January 6th when Trump had to leave office the first time, right? And so I just feel like it's going to be worse before it's all said and done. And Love to Left say, is she saying that racism starts from the church? Now, what she's saying is racism is taught at home, but it's also taught at church also. Love to Laugh. So she's not just solely putting it on the church. She's saying that it was at home also. So whatever you believe at home, then you go to church and they reaffirm that for you. And so Alice is saying, yeah, Love to Laugh. I believe she's saying from white evangelicals. Exactly. If the parents go to church and they believe in the Christianity, the white conservative Christianity, then yes, ma'am, it's being taught from the church. And Foxy said, exactly is what she's saying. That's what she's saying. And Alice says, spreading hate in the name of Jesus, thinking that they're on their way to heaven. Exactly, Alice. How hypocritical can you get? And they called it Obamacare because they knew that people who hated him would be against it. But they wanted to keep the Affordable they didn't know the difference in the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare. How educated can you be when it's both the same thing, But that just lets you know how smart some of them are. Okay. And Alice says some of them were interviewed and said that they were for the ACA, but fought against Obamacare. Okay, so you're saying the same thing. And I didn't even see your comment, but I guess we were thinking the same way. They used light skin versus dark skin to pit black people against one another. Some of us still fall for it. Yeah. Some of our light-skinned sisters and brothers think that they're better than our dark-skinned sisters and brothers. And how did we get this light skin? By master. Okay, so that's not a flex, in my opinion. So, but I'm gonna digress. Because but in their eyesight, though, if you got an ounce of black blood and you're black anyway, so really, they look at all of us the same. So we need to stop doing that within our within our race, because we all have our own issues and we all have problems. And so I'm not saying that our races, don't have any problems or anything, but at the end of the day, we need to stop that as a race of in the community. We all need to stop doing that in our own community. So here's Al Gore talking about Mr. Rump. And so he's gonna echo what this conservative lady is saying.
We've already seen, by the way, how populist authoritarian leaders have used migrants as scapegoats and have fanned the fires of xenophobia to fuel their own rise to power. And power seeking is what this is all about. Our Constitution, written by our founders, is intended to protect us against a threat identical to Donald Trump, someone who seeks power at all costs to get more power. I understand very well why it is wrong to compare Adolf Hitler's Third Reich to any other movement. It was uniquely evil, full stop. I get it. But there are important lessons from the history of that emergent evil, and here is one that I regard as essential. In the immediate aftermath of World War II, a small group of philosophers who had escaped Hitler's murderous regime returned to Germany and performed a kind of moral autopsy on the Third Reich. The most famous of the so-called Frankfurt School of philosophers was a man named Jürgen Habermas, best known, I would say, but it was Habermas's mentor, Theodor Adorno, who wrote that the first step in that nation's descent into hell was, and I quote, the conversion of all questions of truth into questions of power. He described how the Nazis, and I quote again, attacked the very heart of the distinction between true and false, end quote. The Trump administration is insisting on trying to create their own preferred version of reality. They say Ukraine attacked Russia instead of the other way around, and expect us to believe it. At home, they attack heroes who have defended our nation in war and against cyber attacks as traitors.
Now, unfortunately, some people do believe what Al Gore is, what Trump is spewing, because, like I said, they rather believe anything that Trump has to say versus what the truth is. And I don't know why that clip cut off like that. I must have downloaded the wrong one, because he had a few more other things to say. But basically, he's just letting us know how Trump is trying to be an authoritarian, and how he's trying to be a dictator, and how he's trying to turn America into dictatorship. And if we're not careful, we will fall into that category. It's a lot of people still agree with him. In my opinion, with him having a 44 approval rating of how he's running the country, that's too many people. Based on what he's doing in the hate and dissentment that he's causing, and the dividing that he's trying to do, that's too many people still on board with him. 44% is more than likely over at least 50 million people. So that's still too many people in America that's believing in this crap and believing in what Trump is saying. And so to me, I need that number to go down to at least 10%. Hey, Thrive with Globe with Joe. Thriving Globe with Joe. Hey, how you doing tonight? And thanks for being here tonight. But to me, 44% is still a big chunk of America that's believing this crap. And really, it's the chunk of America that's listening to these white evangelicals, believing that no matter what Trump does, how he try to divide America, what laws he break, all the criminality that he's doing, all the cruelty to people, it's all still okay, because guess what? If it's white, then it's right in their eyesight. And so as long as it's a white man in office, it doesn't make a difference what he does or how he do it. They still okay with it. And I was listening to this other guy, this podcast. What he does is he have MAGA call in, and then he light them up. Oh, he lights them up. And he was asking this one MAGA guy. He asked him, he said that You said you had to come out the bushes to agree with me. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. She said I had to come out the bushes, baby. Well, thank you for coming out of the bushes to agree with me. But this white guy that I be listening to on YouTube, I just found him about a week ago, and I've been listening to him just light MAGA up because he has this podcast, and I don't know if he'll allow us to play his clip or not. So that's why I didn't pull his clips up, because I don't know. I don't want to be struck. I don't want my channel struck because I'm using his clip, and I actually need to email him and ask him, can I use some of his content? But he has this podcast, and he talks to MAGA, right? And I mean, he just be calling them morons and dummies, and he call them all kind of names, right? So he asked this one man today, because the guy was going on and on about how good Putin was and this and that and other. So he asked him, he said, would you rather vote for Obama or would you rather vote for Putin? If the race, if the race came, if we had a new race and it was Obama and Putin, who would you vote for? And the guy said he really don't know. So he lit into that man like it was white on rice. He was like, you mean to tell me you rather vote in a dictator that has unalived millions of people, trying to and declare war, trying to take land from Ukraine and unaliving all of Ukraine's people over because he want their land, and you mean to tell me you rather vote for him than to vote for a Harvard scholar? And the guy said, well, I don't know. He got mad and hung up on him. You a moron, you stupid. Let me hang up on you because you don't know what you just go for anything. And just to say that you're not wrong, you'll still just stick to your gun, stick to your logic thought and your thoughts and your logic just to be right. And that's exactly what some of these people do. They know that they voted wrong. They know that that Trump is doing this wrong, but they don't even mind losing the American Constitution, which ain't all that great. I mean, it's okay for them because it actually covers them too, but they're actually willing to give up the Constitution just so that they can keep an authoritarian in office, so they can keep a dictator in office. And Trump has been spewing about him running a third term, and he's doing that. He's putting it out there in the atmosphere to get a feel of it, just to see how everybody think, what you think about it, to see how people are going to react to it, and to see how many people are going to go along with it. And guess who's going to go along with that? 44% of the people that approve his job approving rate, the ones that approve of his job, those 44% would allow him to be president again if they could. Unfortunately, 44% is not enough to win that argument. And plus the Supreme Court would throw him out, and those marshals will come and throw him out also. So he could try to, fantasize about that all he want to, but that ain't going to happen. Right now, like I said, these judges are already pushing back on him because guess what? Everybody's already tired. It's only been almost 5 months. He's 5 months in, and he's done broke America almost in 2 already with just all of the shenanigans that he's trying to pull. He's actually trying to get Elon Musk out of the White House because he said he's bad for him politically. But, rumor has it that Elon has been arguing and having fights with his cabinet, and the people in the cabinet don't want him. And that's one of the reasons why he's leaving. Also, Elon is losing a lot of money. Tesla stock is down 40%. That's almost half of what his company is worth. People overseas, it's just only been 3 months, Alice. Okay. Well, it got in office in January. What are we in? We're in April. Okay, so 3 months. Well, yeah, he's only been in office, good 90 days, and we're already tired of him. It feels like it's already been 3 years, Alice, because each and every day that he's been in office, he's been nothing but the news cycle. And that's another thing that he does. He like to dominate the news cycle. He want everybody talking about him. And that's why I don't bring him up that much. That's why I'm not doing that many lives on him. And I'm not going to get on here every day and try to tell you guys what he's doing and what he's not doing, because all of it is a bunch of crap anyway. And it's a bunch of fake, really it's a bunch of shenanigans. Half of the stuff that he's doing, he know he can't get away with it, but he still throw it out there to see what he can. It's like he's throwing spaghetti against the wall to see what's gonna stick and what's not gonna stick. Now, in the beginning, I was telling you guys about racism in America, and the reason why we have so much racism in America and why that's still prevalent today, part of the problem is the media. The media always want to put black people and people of color, they want to put them in the limelight. They want to put them in the forefront. They want to make it look like everybody that the white people in America are just doing everything they're supposed to do. They're hardworking Americans. And and when they on the news talking about the American public, they're talking about the white people. They're not talking about y'all. They talking about white people. Okay. So when they say the American public on TV, they mean white people. But they want to make sure, they want to act like the American public is just going to their good American jobs and dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. But when you turn on the news and you turn it off of Fox News, you see who's committing a lot of the crimes with the American public. Now, who's doing all these mass pow-pows? The American public. Who's going around starting a lot of these forest fires? The American public. Who's taking out insurance executives? The American public. Who's doing a lot of these financial crimes? The American public. Who's just taking advantage of people financially? Like when you go buy a car and they give you an interest rate of 40 and 50%, 29 and 30%. The American public, they're taking advantage of everybody else as much as they can. They give you high interest rates when you try to get a loan. Anything you try to purchase, they'll try to give you a higher interest rate. In some restaurants, they've even put it on the ticket that you're black, and I don't know what that means, especially at the Cracker Barrel. Don't go to the Cracker Barrel and eat, because you definitely, this one waitress said that they put it on the ticket to let the cook know if you're a black patron, then they put that on the ticket for whatever reason. And I don't know what that means. She didn't go into it about what they do to your food or what have you. But it's a lot of ways that they discriminate against us, and we don't even really realize it. When you go to the hospital, they'll tell you that you got everything under the sun just so they can cut on you and experiment with you and experiment with your body. Because who's been the guinea pigs for all of this scientific medication that they try out on people? Black people. Okay. So they try to use us as guinea pigs. And then if everything is, works out or what have you, then they'll go ahead and take advantage of it, But, they do everything that they can to try to keep all the other races oppressed, and it makes them feel like that they're the best. They are trying to keep their white hierarchy. They are trying to keep their white power, and you can best believe they're going to do anything necessary to keep that power. And they know that their race is dissipating. Their race is not going to be the predominant race anymore, and they don't like that. So that's why you see, like I said, you see all these new voting laws coming into play. They're saying that you're going to even have to have a passport to go even travel from state to state. Now, I feel like that's a little bit of conspiracy theory on social media, but it's been put out there. But why do, as an American, why do you have to show a birth certificate or a passport when you have your good old state ID or your state driver's license? Ain't that enough identification for you? But when you go vote again, even though the federal courts have struck it down, he wanted us to show citizenship for to vote, but they just struck that down again today also. So they're trying to implement anything that they can to stay in office and to keep you oppressed and to keep you from the voting booth as much as they can. Anytime they bring up any propositions, they try to tangle the language up, or they'll make it so complicated to where you can't even understand what it is that you're voting for. We have a proposition in my town right now, and I don't know whether to vote yes or no. I'm going to have to research and find out what it is that I'm voting for. But now when I go on one side of town, which is their side, they say vote no. When I come on my side of town, they say vote yes. So I'm probably gonna, if they say vote no, the American people say vote no, then probably I need to vote yes on it. But I need to do a little bit more research and find out what this proposition is about. It's about our schools, and they're saying that it's supposed to help our kids with funding for education. But like I said, Greg Abbott just implemented this DOGE program in Texas. And I have a feeling that this new proposition that they want us to vote on is really to vote to take the funding away from public schools and to give it to the states so that they can give it to the private schools. I really believe that's what this is about. But like I said, I need to do a little bit more research on this proposition before I vote on it, and then I'll make a informed decision. But you know, like I said, when they say vote no, that means we need, more likely for us, we need to vote yes on it. And when I look at the signs around my part of town is saying vote for it. So I really don't know. And I'm like you, Joe, I don't trust nothing that Abbott say. You know, and like I said, he just signed that bill yesterday for Doge for Texas. And what he was saying was it's supposed to make business not have to worry about regulation. So that means we all finna be in danger. Because if you take all the regulation away, that means they don't have to dot I's and cross T's, and they don't have to make it safe. So that's what I'm thinking. That's exactly what that bill is going to be. And he said that it's going to bring all kind of business to Texas. But that means they're going to come to Texas, not pay taxes. And if they don't pay taxes, guess who's going to pay them? Texans are going to pay those taxes. And so I don't believe anything that he say. And Hot Wheels is a trip without luggage. I don't believe anything that he say, and I don't believe anything that the Republicans say, and I halfway believe what the Democrats say. Okay, because in my opinion, a lot of people in office are not in office for the people. They're in office for their power, to keep their nice cushiony jobs, and so that they can have inside trading with the stock market. And so, yes, I'm a Democrat, but that doesn't mean that I believe everything that the Democrats are doing is right either. Okay, because I feel like they could fight a little bit harder for us, excluding Jasmine Crockett and excluding AOC, but the rest of them, they don't fight hard enough for us. A lot of this stuff, they just let it go through. It's a lot of rules in the Senate that they could use to try to stop a lot of things. And to me, they don't exercise their power enough, because I think they're all going in those back rooms, and I think they're all making backroom deals. Now, I have one more person that I want to bring to the forefront, and his name is Tim Wise. Now, his video is 46 minutes, but we're not going to listen to 46 minutes of his video. I'm just going to play probably maybe about the first 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'm going to cut him short because I didn't mean to be on this. I didn't know that all these videos was going to take this long, and I don't want to keep you guys all night. But I do want I want to introduce you to him. And I don't know if you guys heard about him, like you heard about Jane Elliott, but I just thought he was a great guy to present also. And I felt like that, that he was important enough to bring to the forefront too, because he says a lot of good things also. And he's been an activist for the last 30 years for Black people. And it's really not just about Black people. It's really about what's right. Okay. If I can bring this up, I don't like the way StreamYard got this new thing here. So let me see what it is that I need to do to bring this up. If I can bring it up. Let's see. Okay. I think I just forgot what I was supposed to do, but it's coming to my remembrance. So let me bring Tim Wise on, and he's been talking to this group of college kids, right? And so we are gonna we're gonna be listening to a little bit portion of the speech that he's already talked about, and this is like part 8 of his speech. So let's hear a little bit of what he have to say, and then I'll let you guys go. Let's see, he's on mute.
Fundamental beliefs of our country, the idea of meritocracy, rugged individualism, right? Because ultimately those kinds of beliefs leave us incapable of actually interrogating our world and understanding what's happening currently within it. And let me tell you why that's dangerous, right? See, here's the thing. It's very ironic, right? That mentality doesn't just hurt people of color, it actually hurts white folks. And this is what I want to conclude with, because I want you to get this point. It's the most important point, perhaps. That's why I want to close with it. It's one thing to say that people of color are hurt by this system. That's obvious. And I could give you hours and hours of examples. I've already given you a few. But I want to suggest that not knowing the past, being ignorant about the history and how it brought us to this point, is actually dangerous for whites as well. Why? Well, think about it. If you are told that wherever you end up is all about your own effort, at least if you're a person of color, you sort of know that's bullshit, right? Like people of color who know anything about their history know that it's way more complicated than that. right? They know that they've had people in their family that have been working hard for generations, don't have anything to show for it, right? People of color know they did some of the hardest work and continue to do some of the hardest work in this country every day and are not rewarded commensurate with the value that they create and produce. So people of color generally don't buy the myth, but white America has had the luxury of believing it. Even working class white people historically have been able to believe that, well, as long as I work hard, my kids will be better off than me. And their kids will be better off than them. And their kids will be better off. In other words, white folks have been able to take the idea of mobility for granted, right? At least horizontal mobility, right? So the guy says, well, my granddaddy worked in the mine, my daddy worked in the mine, I'm working in the mine, my kid's gonna work in the mine. That's an expectation, isn't it? It's actually a sense of entitlement. By God, as long as we work hard, we'll always have stuff. People of color have never had the luxury of believing that. Black and brown folks have never been able to say, as long as I work hard, I'm sure I'll always have employment, right? But white Americans have been able to believe it. Now, why is that dangerous? It's dangerous because what happens if I come to believe that wherever I end up is all about me, and I've had the luxury of buying into that mythology because I'm a member of the dominant group that created the mythology, right? And I think that history flatters me because I wrote it, going back to what Baldwin said, and then all of a sudden the economy shifts and those jobs disappear, which is what's happening. What if all of a sudden some of those jobs become superfluous and anachronistic? What happens if those assembly line jobs are moving to other countries because it's cheaper to do the work there? What happens if the guy that owns the coal mine discovers that it's cheaper to just blow the top off the mountain with dynamite to get the coal and not have to use as many coal miners? Right? And then all of a sudden the coal jobs are going away because it's cheaper to get the coal in other ways than what you used to do. Now, if I'm a white guy that's always placed an emphasis on my own merit as the determiner of where I end up, and I'm struggling suddenly, if I've believed all my life that wherever I end up is all about me, and now I'm out of work for 26 weeks, 52 weeks, 99 weeks, as some were during the height of the recession a few years back, what do I do? Because now I'm internalizing shame, am I not? I'm internalizing blame because there's a voice in the back of my head that says, well, it's all your fault, remember, because wherever you end up is all about you. So if you're at the bottom, there must be something wrong with you. So what do I do with that shame and that pain? I have to deflect it, don't I? Otherwise, it's going to eat me alive. It's either going to eat me alive or I got to put it on you. Right? So now a politician comes along and says, I can take away your pain. Oh no, the pain that you're feeling, that's not your fault. When those black folks are out of work and when those Latino folks are out of work, that's their fault. That's because they're lazy. When you're out of work, it's also their fault. It's not about you, it's about them. So you go, oh, good. And then you fall for it, right? But it doesn't really solve your problem to start scapegoating them. You're still dealing with that little voice in the back of your head. And then what happens? Well, think about this story you've all heard about. And I want to suggest this is deeply connected to whiteness and white supremacy and the system and history of white privilege. You've heard about the opioid crisis, right? All these white folks in small town America getting hooked on heroin. They started off with Oxy, right? Because they got a prescription for some pain from a doctor, and then they got addicted. Now they're doing street heroin, right? And we got all this sympathy, by the way, right? We're talking about, oh, the opioid crisis. We got to help these poor salt of the earth white people who are hooked on dope. My God, we got to help them. Right? We got to have rehab and treatment. We didn't do that in the 70s when we had a heroin crisis in black and brown poor communities. We just called people junkies and locked them up. We didn't do that in the 80s with crack. We didn't talk about rehab and treatment. We talked about prison, right? But with these white folks, we got all this sympathy. Well, good. It's about time. We should. But here's the problem. Why do you think the opioid crisis is happening to these folks? In these, there was by the way, you may not have heard this, the biggest single correlated factor with support for Donald Trump in the election in a community by community sense was the number of people addicted to opiates in those communities. There was a one-to-one linear relationship between the degree of opiate addiction and the support levels for Donald Trump. Now, don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that you had to be high to vote for Donald Trump. That's not what I'm saying. That's not my argument, though it's a fascinating hypothesis that some scholars in the room might want to study. That's not my argument. My argument is that what was Donald Trump? He was basically a human opiate, right? He was an opiate in human form. He walks into the room and says, I can take away your pain, right? By showing you who's to blame for it. What is an opiate? An opiate is pharmacologically meant to do just one thing, block pain receptors. Right? That's all it does. It blocks pain receptors. And here's a guy that comes along and says, I can block your pain receptivity by blaming these folks and letting you scapegoat them. The problem is opiates and Donald Trump as a human one don't actually solve the problem, right? If you got a crushed disc in your back and they put you on opiates to kill the pain, that's not going to fix your back. It's just going to get you through the really bad moments. If you have cancer and they put you on morphine or something to deal with the pain, or some opiate to deal with the pain, that doesn't cure your cancer. It just gets you through the worst moments of it, right? The same is true with all the supposed solutions that this president is pushing as a form of political opioid, right? But why are these folks doing it? Think about it for a second. There's a study that came out 2 years ago from Princeton, and it found a really interesting fact. From 1999 to 2013, there was this huge spike in death rates among one group of Americans only, and that was white, middle-aged, non-college educated working class people. Middle-aged, non-college educated working class whites saw this huge increase in death rates, 200,000 additional deaths compared to what we would have expected, because normally in an industrial economy like ours, the death rates are always going down, because, you know, the place is getting healthier and usually wealthier. And unless there's a famine or a natural disaster, the rates are normally going in a good direction. And they continued to do that for Black folks. They continued to do that for Latinx folks. They continued to do that for Asian Americans. They continued to do that for wealthy whites, and even whites that weren't necessarily wealthy but had a college degree and some sense of, you know, hope for the future. It was just this one group that saw this seemingly inexplicable rise. And when that happened, there was a really interesting reaction. There's a conservative columnist for the New York Times who wrote about it and said, so much for white privilege. Look at these white people. They're dying. How can you say white people have privilege and advantage? They're the ones dying. And by the way, they were dying from opioid overdoses, heavy drinking, and suicide. That was the three main contributors to that death spiral, right? So how can you say there's privilege? These folks are killing themselves, right? But actually, I think that was proof of a system of privilege, but a proof of a system of privilege that had finally started to let them down and they didn't know what to do with it. Right? Because if I tell you all of your life that all you got to do is work hard and you'll make it, and suddenly you're not, and you have expectations that are up here, but the fulfillment is only about right here, what are you going to do? You don't know what to do with that pain. On the other hand, if I'm a person of color, I always knew that to get up here, I was going to have to hustle and grind, right? That I always knew getting to a 7 or better on the 1 to 10 scale was going to take a hell of a lot of work. So if I'm a person of color and I'm already at a 5.5, I might be like, well, all right then. Things are looking up. But if I'm white and you told me I was going to have an 8 or a 9 or a 10, if I just worked hard and did everything and played by the rules, and now I'm only at a 5.5, oh, hell no. 5.5 wasn't meant for me. That was meant for those people. Now I can't handle it. So I either got to take it out on you or I take it out on myself. What I'm trying to say is that a system of inequality, which usually has worked for white people, has set us up and created a mentality of expectation and entitlement that can't always be fulfilled, right? A couple years back during the recession, Newsweek did a cover story about all these executives who'd lost their jobs, because it didn't just hit working class folks. A lot of middle management and even executives were getting laid off. They had this story about this white guy, right? He was interviewed and he's talking about how he lost his job as the chief financial officer at some company. And he said, whenever I'm out there looking for work, I feel so ashamed, right? And he said, I feel like there's a big sign hanging around my neck, a neon sign that says unemployed bum. I remember reading that and thinking, man, who told you that unemployed people were bums? You know, I know who didn't tell you that. Unemployed people. I know who else didn't tell you that. Any person of color didn't tell you that. You know who told you that unemployed people were bums? You told you that unemployed people were bums. That's the irony of this system. The irony of this system is that it sets us all up to believe that certain outcomes are going to happen. And if you're white, you've had the luxury of believing them. And then when they don't, the level of frustration, frustrated expectations creates this kind of self-hatred that you take out on yourself, or hatred of others that you take out on them, but none of it solves the problem, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say is that inequality has a downside, not just for the people on the bottom, but even for some of the folks up here. Because the minute that it can't be sustained anymore, the minute that that system falls apart, and things do change, you know, the world is always changing. And if you're not ready for change, you're not ready for change. James Baldwin also said something about that. He was talking about how people of color sometimes, how black folks in particular, about whom he was writing, are the most prepared for crisis. And sometimes white folks are the least prepared. This is what he said. In this case, he was speaking about black folks. He said, that man who has to snatch his humanity every day out of the fires of human cruelty that rage to destroy it, learns something about himself in the process that no school and no church can teach. He gains a sense of his own authority, and that is unshakable because in order to save his life, he has to learn to read the meaning behind the words, to read between the lines, to take nothing for granted. And Baldwin concludes by saying, when you are constantly having to survive the worst that life can bring, you cease to be afraid of what life can bring. The flip side of that is that when you haven't had to survive the worst that life can bring because you've been the favored group, and suddenly the worst that life can bring is staring you in the face, you have no idea how to cope with it. I guess my point is that white America should have been listening to black and brown folks a long damn time ago. And maybe if we had listened to their experiences and learned from their experiences, we wouldn't be having the existential meltdown that so many millions are that would allow them to vote for a walking, talking, breathing human opiate, right? And we.
So it looked like you guys are enjoying Tim Wise. Alice, you asked me for the link to him, and I don't know if it's blue in the chat or not because it doesn't look like I don't know if you guys can click on it or not. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna link his discussion, this clip here. I'll link this in my description. So when I finish the video, you can find him. But his name is Tim Wise, and like I said, he's been an activist and he's been a speaker that's going around to college campuses. He's been doing that for the last 30 years, he says. But I just think he's a great guy. He tells the truth like Jane Elliott does, and he have a lot of great information and a lot of true information. And if you guys want to hear some more of the speech, put a 1 in the chat. Yeah, it is amazing, Joe. He speak. Yeah, you don't hear white people talking like this that often. Like him and Jane, you don't hear that many white people talking like this. And so I like it when people tell the truth, and when they can hold, when they can hold themselves accountable. So if y'all put it in the chat and y'all want to continue to hear some more of his speech, y'all go ahead and continue to play it some more. Marzon, you put 11 in there, so I guess you like it. So I only have 3 votes. So I have about at least 20 people, 15 to 20 people in on the live. So yeah, Foxy, it is good to have somebody tell the truth and hold their own accountable. So if you guys still want to hear it, so just let me know. I see a few you guys do, but I'm not getting a vote from everybody. So yeah, some more. Okay. So let me just go ahead and finish letting him speak for a few more moments. Oh, he's almost done anyway because it's a 13-minute clip. Okay. I thought I downloaded the 46-minute one, but that's cool. We'll let him go ahead and finish up.
Better figure this out. We don't have a lot of time. In 2042, if not earlier, right? Half the country is going to be people of color and half are going to be white. That's a fact. No wall's going to stop that. Right? Half the country is going to be people of color, half are going to be white. How are we going to survive if half of the country, the people of color have, is still twice as likely to be unemployed? How are we going to survive if the people of color half is still 3 times as likely to be poor? How are we going to survive if the people of color half still has 1/15 the net worth? Answer, we're not going to survive. Right? So this thing about racial justice, this thing about equity, this ain't charity work. Right? This is radical self-help. This is about saving ourselves and the country that we claim to love. It is about, and I beg to remind you, not making America great again, but making America great for the very first and only time. Thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Okay, so like I said, I linked his video into the chat. I put his name in the chat. And you guys can, all you have to do is just put it in YouTube. Put his name in, Tim Wise, and he's speaking to a lot of different colleges. And so you can listen to his speech, and he have speeches that he's been doing. They go back, I think, at least 20 years. And I just never heard of him. And when I was listening to Jane Elliott one day, his video came across my feed. So I was like, let me hear and let me listen to see what he have to say. But I've been knowing about this guy for about the last 6 months, and I just never really kind of brought him to the forefront or what have you. But I've always said that I wanted to do a live about him because I like the way he speaks. He's like Jane Elliott. He speaks the truth. And I like hearing the truth. And it's very refreshing Foxy, put it on mute for a sec. It's very refreshing to hear someone telling the truth for a change, and for someone to hold their own accountable, because we don't get to hear that we don't get to hear that often. But I wholeheartedly believe by the time this administration end, he's not gonna be the only truth teller. Okay, it's gonna be a bunch of truth telling going on when people start losing everything. Hey, rocking with Cowboy, thanks for being here tonight, sir. um when people start telling it, when people start losing a lot, and when people start feeling the pain, we're going to be here. Just keep your social media feeds open, because it's going to be a lot of people crying and complaining about what they're losing because of this, because of Agent Orange and his inability to be a president. Because let's just keep it real, this guy is not qualified to be in office. The only reason why the first time when he was in office, the only reason why it halfway ran right is because he had other people in places that knew how to do the job. Well, this time around, he's gotten rid of everybody with experience. He got rid of everybody with experience. He put in all type of inexperienced people in place so that they could be loyal to him. He did it for a reason. So whenever he says, whenever he snap his finger and say, "Do what I say do," then that's what they're gonna do, and that's the way he wanted it. But he's already getting all type of backlash. Like last weekend, um, Rachel Maddow showed about 15 or 20 different rallies where people were just marching across the country in all kind of states. I mean, they were marching in red states, blue states, purple states, yellow state, every state. It was at least 15 to 20 states of people that was marching, and they marching all across the country. She said it was over 100 marches. She only put a few of them on her TV screen, but and I looked at the marches, and guess who it was? It was the American public marching. It wasn't us. It was the American public. And I have Roxy up here. And so, hey, Foxy Roxy, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, girl. How are you doing tonight? Hi,
Oh, I'm doing
everybody.
pretty good.
Yes, everything you've been saying is so true. It is so true. I've been saying to just so many people about what you've been saying. And you're telling the truth. That's why I said teach, girl, teach. Because he's mainly the reason why he got the people he got this time. He got the votes. He didn't really want to help the people. He wanted the people to help him to get in office so he can get his revenge. It's all about his revenge. It's nothing about anything else but revenge.
Exactly, because he's a petulant child.
Right.
And
Yeah, just like a
who
child.
stays up? Yeah, and when do this guy get any sleep? He's up tweeting all day, all night, all evening, and I don't know when the man get any sleep.
Well,
He's
you
up
see
ready
how
to
his
tweet.
eyes look. He got
Yeah,
bad, real bad on his face. You could tell if you look at some of his older pictures when he was in president before, and then look at him now. You could tell it's wear and tear on him. He's so
yeah,
busy wanting to get revenge that he's not sleeping.
yeah. And he's also, you right, Alice. He's also avoiding prison because he already know. Uh, that's why he's spewing this third term crap, because he already know once he get out of office, New York waiting on him. People waiting on him, just like they was waiting on Tiff. They waiting on him too. Okay,
Uh-huh.
and so and the whole thing about it is he's doing so much, and a lot of things that he's doing in office, if he don't comply, he's still going to prison.
And right now he don't even realize it. He's so uneducated that he
He
don't
do
even
realize it.
realize.
He don't care. He realize it. He just
But
don't care.
but when he get out, all those things that all those things that he's violating against the federal judges, it's going to go back on him.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's going to come back on him. And the Supreme Court said that, he can basically do what he wants in office, but they didn't say he can defy their subpoenas and their records and their orders. He didn't say that he can defy that. And that's what he's trying to do at this point.
He wants to be like Putin so bad now. He's talking about he's disappointed with Putin. He want Putin to stop with the war and all that stuff. But Putin is sitting back looking at him like, who you going to talk about now? We already got an alliance over here. We don't know you no more.
And at the end of the day, that was just cap. That's because he got such a low approval rating. So now he's trying to fix a few things. And really, all of this is the whole purpose of him being in office is to, like you guys say, is to stay out of prison and to give the billionaires tax breaks. That's what all of this is all about. That's all this is.
And the problem is he ain't even getting the billionaires a tax break because he's messing that up for them with the tariffs.
Exactly. And they're losing their companies. They're losing money.
Right. And they're
even if
losing
you
money
give them
with
a
him.
tax, even if you give them a tax break, they're still not going to make any money, because if you bankrupt America, nobody is going to have money to spend in the economy anyway. So they're still going to lose. They're going to lose anyway. Any way they look at it, they're still going to lose because he doesn't know what he's doing, and he don't want any instruction. Yeah, Alice, he's trying to act tough, and he doesn't want anybody telling him the right thing to do. Everything has to be his idea, or it's a no-go, right? He have
Right.
advisors around him. His campaign people, they're actually professional people. Susan and Chris, I can't say their last name. I think it's called Crossavito,
Right.
Cressavito or something like that. Those people have been political operatives for the last 20 or 30 years. They know what they're doing, but he won't listen to anybody. Just like the first administration, he wouldn't listen to nobody in the first administration, and that's the reason why he lost. And then that's when he came up with this insurrection crap. And so, and this time around is no time different. It's even worse this time because at least he had some people in place that knew what they were doing. They got rid of so many people. They had to try to call the people back. They even got rid of the people that do the nuclear, that know the nuclear codes.
Right.
The
And then he had to-
FAA.
And then he had to get them back because he messed up.
Yeah, the FAA. You know, you hired all the experienced people. You tried to get rid of them, and you see what this is doing. You see how those planes was just crashing one by every day. It was a plane crash because you got rid of the head of the FAA. And then I just seen a clip last night. Robert Kennedy Jr. All out at the bar walking all drunk walking. You know, so you got him over the FDA, which I kind of agree. Now, Robert Kennedy Jr., he is weird, and he do say some off the top things, but some things I agree with him on. Like he's trying to regulate food, like get all these dyes out of our food. I really think he's gonna clean the foods industry up. Now, that's one good thing that he's gonna do. Now, he's talking about us black people having more melanin. We don't need we don't need the same vaccination strength that everybody else doing, and that's just a bunch of BS. But as far as him and the FDA, I'm on board with what he's trying to do with the FDA, and I think it's okay for him to do that with the FDA, because the FDA haven't really been FDAing for a while, in my opinion. A lot of foods that we eat here in America, they're banned overseas, but we still can eat it though. And so, and it's all about the Benjamins with America, right?
Right.
All right, Esau, thank you for being here. You have a wonderful night also, and
Yes.
good night. But so some of the things I agree with Robert R.F. Kennedy Jr. I kind of believe I agree with some of the things he's doing, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be more things that I don't agree with him with than I do agree with him with, because he's kind of crazy himself at the end of the day.
Yeah, he is kind of cray-cray. I mean, I'm not saying all, but he's kind of cray-cray. My biggest problem is, my thing is, it's so
Right,
much
Alan.
going on. It's so much going on that, like you said, every day is something new. It's this going on, that's going on, this going on. You don't know which way to turn. And it's getting bad to a point that, just like a lot of people didn't, I found out that a lot of our people didn't know that the 401k were being used with the stock market. And they was like, we didn't know that.
Well, what
Yes.
did they know what the for?
The 401k, that
I understand. I know that.
but they didn't know it. A lot of
But I'm
people didn't
saying,
know.
what do they think it is? Is what is really
No,
the
no,
question.
they thought it was like a bank. They were storing their money like you do. No, I know that. You know that. But a lot of people didn't know that. So they
Right.
didn't know they was investing their money. They thought that
Oh.
money was saved up from them working. And they just, when they retired, they just take all the money out like a bank. They didn't know that they was,
Yeah.
doing
Now that's not what the 401k is. The 401k is you investing into the market and they gamble with your money. That's why they tell you to diversify your portfolio, meaning have your money in more places than one. So if one of the stocks fall and go under, you still have other stocks that you can win off of because it's really a big gambling system. Is basically what it is. And if you don't want to gamble your money, then put your money in an IRA or an annuity. In that way, especially with an annuity, you can't lose with that because all annuity do is grow your money over a specified period of time. As long as you don't touch it, your money will grow, and it start between 2% up to 6%. And so even if the market go under with an annuity, it's not like you're gonna lose your money. You just won't make any money. So that's my little lesson on the 401k. And all of that is I'm not a financial guru or anything. That's just information that I know from about the stock market from dealing with the stock market. So I'm not a financial advisor, none whatsoever. Make sure you do your research and contact somebody that does the stock market if you want to get some information on there. But I'm just trying to tell you what I know about it.
and see
So I got
just
to
like
put that disclaimer out there.
and then you also know that it was I gotta find that video. I'm gonna send it to your email where he stated that the Republicans were the dumbest people that he can get over on.
Yeah.
He said that the Republicans are the dumb ones. And
Yeah,
I'm
he said
like,
he like uneducated, uninformed voters.
right. But you got to realize everybody think another thing that he's having realize. Okay, Elon Musk, you don't put Elon Musk in there with all the government places, cut the jobs and everything, right? Now Elon Musk is talking about going back to try to get his stocks up on his company. Well, Elon leaves. He done got rid of the people that was head of these companies. I mean agencies. So he done got rid of the people that was ahead of the agency. He's got people that was working for the agencies. Now he leaves. What you gonna do? You don't have nobody in place now.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Chocolate Drop. Trump is trying to treat the terrorist economy and country like it's a business, and that's not what America is. Which is the obviously knows nothing about, according to his record. Right, every business that he had failed, or he either filed bankruptcy or he went under. And so I don't know where they get this idea that he's a great businessman. The only thing he's great in is conning people. Now,
Uh-huh.
now I got to give him his credit. He's a great brander. He can brand like anybody, like nobody else can. He knows how to brand his products, whether they good, bad, or in between, and he know how to con people. And the whole thing about it is also he studied the American public, quote unquote. He studied his people. He is part of his people, and he know what his people will fall for. Just like we know what our people will fall for, he know
Uh-huh.
what his people are gonna fall for. And he all the out of that's why he was so in that's why he was so determined to get the white evangelicals on his side, because he automatically knew if he got the white evangelicals on his side, he's gonna he know he was gonna win with them,
Uh-huh.
and he knows that. And you heard what that lady said on the video about them teaching that at church, uh
Uh-huh.
teaching them about how we were cursed, and we from the descendants of Ham, which is bad in the Bible or what have you. And so,
Uh-huh.
they believe a bunch of that crap, and I'm not calling the Bible crap, but what I'm saying is the belief that they're teaching their people is crap. And they're teaching their people to hate other races and to hate other ideals of other people, i.e., LGBTQ people. And they talk about them all the time. All the LGBTQ trying to indoctrinate our kids and blah blah this and that and the other. And y'all are the ones getting caught with them. It's y'all getting caught with the LGBTQ people. It's y'all
Uh-huh.
that the ones that's doing all of the crimes. And one more thing. Let me show y'all this one video. I forgot I got this one last video. Now they say black people committing all the crimes in America, right? It's us and it's all the people of color, and all of us is the ones who's doing so bad according to the media. But watch this.
Walked in one by one, some hung their heads, others wore their feelings right there on their t-shirts. Today, the Manatee County Sheriff's Office announced an undercover operation they've been working on for months resulted in more than 100 arrest warrants and close to 40 arrests.
This is a huge problem, and we're like one of maybe 3 or 4 law enforcement agencies in the state of Florida that have decided to do something about this.
And it has to do with just that. Meal tickets in the form of EBT cards for low-income individuals being fraudulently used. One part of the investigation centered around Gerald Millis, a local restaurant owner who police say purchased EBT cards from people for 50 to 60 cents on the dollar, and then stocked his local Pizza Pros restaurant with food he bought using those cards.
We were able to determine that he used 53 different EBT cards at Sam's Club.
Police say 55 people were also caught illegally selling their EBT cards to undercover detectives.
A couple of them said, "I'm headed to go get some rock cocaine."
A beyond frustrating reality for taxpayers who today learned their hard-earned money is being misused.
But it was us now.
Now, who's the majority on these pictures? Now, we in there. Don't get me wrong. We in there, but we sprinkled in there. The most of the people is them. And they're the ones who commit most of the crimes. Like I said, they're the ones who do the mass pow-powing. They're the ones who's taking your kids out. They're the ones who's on welfare more than anybody. But the media, the news media, make it try to seem like it's us. We're doing all the crimes. We're the ones on welfare. We're the welfare queens. But in actuality, it's them. But the media don't want to highlight that. They make it look like it's us who's doing the most, and really we're doing the least. We're doing the least, but the media they put us on TV to make it look like it's us. And so everybody get that view. Okay, well, yeah, they criminals. They ain't no good. They lazy. And black people work harder than any other group that I know of. We've worked, our forefathers have worked, the slaves worked for free, and the other people work for almost free. If you worked in the 50s and 60s and 70s, you damn near worked for free. The wages wasn't that much. Minimum wage stayed at $3.35 for the longest. It's been at $7.65 for the last 20 years. Now, how can you make it on $7.65 per month, per hour? The only reason why you get more than $7.65 is because the jobs are trying to compete with each other, and they're trying to get people in the workforce, and they understand that they have to pay more than the minimum wage in order for people to come and work for their jobs. Okay, that's the only reason why you get $10 and $15 and between $10 and $15 on these jobs now. Other than that, if it wasn't such a big competition thing, you would be getting paid $7.65. Okay, because I remember when I was working in the 80s, it was $3.35, and it stayed at $3.35 for the longest.
Well, certain parts of North Carolina, eastern part of North Carolina, they still haven't got above $7.50 an hour. $8 at the max.
Wow.
They still at $8 an hour.
And Bridget.
And in North Carolina and South Carolina, if it's not a corporation, it's like a store or something, you don't get no breaks. You don't get no breaks and lunch.
Why? Not even after 4 hours?
Nope. No breaks and lunch. That's it. They said that is a privilege to get that.
My bad. Okay. Minimum wage is $7.25. I thought it was $7.65, Alice. So that's even lower than what I said it was. Now, who can live off of $7.25 an hour?
Nobody. In North Carolina, it's $6.25. So it's still $1 cheaper. Lower.
How can that be a dollar cheaper when the federal rate? I thought federal was for everybody.
It don't apply. It's states. I found that out when I lived in North Carolina and I lived in Charlotte. When our company moved to South Carolina, they found out that they had to, at one time, they wasn't giving us no breaks or lunch. And then when we complained, because they're a corporation, they had to go back and give us breaks or lunch. But if it's like a department store or grocery store that's not a name, like a major corporation, you don't get no breaks and no lunch.
Now they
And you
getting over. Y'all need
and
the EOC down there, baby.
but that's how those two states run. It's
Yeah.
state run. And
And if you don't say nothing, they're not gonna do nothing.
and a lot of the people don't say nothing because they just thankful they even get a job.
Wow.
And in certain areas, most of us don't get jobs unless it's a fast food or a grocery store and a factory. Other than that, you ain't gonna get no other kind of job. And if you're in the hospitals, if you ain't got a degree, you're gonna work as an intern. I mean, a janitor, or you're gonna work as what they call them, transporters. They transport patients back and forth to different, ER or whatever. Other than that, security, you ain't getting no real paying job. And when you work security, you start off at $8.25 an hour.
Wow.
So there's a lot of places that's not meeting federal minimum wage. And they're getting away with it because nobody wants to go up against them. And they double tax you in North Carolina. You pay taxes on the food, and then you pay taxes on the toiletries or household goods. So if you go in there and get dishwashing liquid, toilet paper, paper towels, you're paying taxes again. You're paying $7% on the goods, and you're paying, wait a minute, let me get it right, $7 on the food, and $8 on the non-perishable foods. Like sodas, you pay a separate tax. That's not considered food.
See, they getting over. I just Googled it. And it says right to work states do not mandate breaks or require employers to pay the federal minimum wage. While they do not have a specific state law requiring breaks, they still adhere to federal minimum wage laws, meaning employers must pay at least the federal minimum wage. See, I thought that's what I thought that's what it was, no matter what kind of state it was. So they getting over. And people need to rebel, but they're not. Like I said, if everybody is not going to be, it's like a union thing. Everybody have to band together and everybody have to complain together, or they're going to continue to do what they do.
And in some places, if you go in, they ask you when you interview, they go through all the questionnaires, then they ask you, do you believe in unions? And you say yes. Then they say, okay, well, thank you for coming in. We have a good day.
Yes, they don't want you in. They don't want you in the union. And the Bruin say the cost of living in those states are way lower than states like California, so the wages are lower. Yeah, but a brilliant. That's like I suspected. You have to do federal minimum. See, the federal trumps everything, no matter if it's a right to work state or no matter what. They still supposed to pay at least $7.25 an hour. They just getting over. Nobody ain't saying anything, and they just all letting it slide under the table.
And what it is a lot of the little small hit, as I call them, hit towns. They're not going to complain because everybody know everybody in that town. So they're not going to complain because they don't want to get harassed. So they just be quiet and just deal with it. Be thankful they got a job.
Yeah, even Nebraska got $13.25, and it'll be $15 in 2026. Yeah, because a lot of the states got to be competitive. Chocolate Drop, like here in Texas, because we used to be a very low wage state too, but we started getting all these different businesses here, and they all wanted, workers, and people were like, I'm not working for $7. And like even our home health care, they was just up to, the last couple of years, they were paying $8 an hour. Now you do home health care, it's up to $10 an hour. So I just think that people need to band together. And if they band together and demand that they pay at least $7.25, then they can, they got to get with their state representatives or what have you. But, a lot of times, I don't know why us as Americans, we always vote against our interests.
Because
People in America, if they vote at all, most of the time, a lot of people don't even vote. And the people that do vote against their interests because of what that lady said. They was indoctrinated to believe that they need to vote a certain way because that's what Jesus wants them to do.
And then some of them just vote a certain way because they're not knowledgeable of everything. Like I told you, a lot of people didn't know the 401k dealt with the stock market. They just thought it was like the bank, like the Social Security. You just when you retire, you just get the money back out, and it's not that way. It's with the stock market. But I said I don't want nobody gambling my money. I said I just save it in my bank. I ain't, you ain't gambling my money.
Yeah, well, I was in the 401k, and you really most of the time, if you got a president that knows what he doing, they can keep that. That's why they real meticulous about trying to keep that stock market up, right? Everybody except for this food, but everybody else that's in the presidency, they try to keep that stock market up because they know those are people retirements and they know what they're doing. So they always try to rally the markets and try to make laws that's going to keep that market up because they understand that people are dependent on that and people are retiring every day and nobody want to retire and not have anything, because even when I was in it, I lost money from time to time. It's going to go up and down, but for the most parts, you're gonna wind up winning more than you're gonna lose. Even if you lost a lot of money right now, and if he turned things around, you'll still go back and make some money unless he depleted everything and you at a zero balance. But if you have at least $100 to $1,000 in there, you can still make your money back. But that stock market have to stay up in order for you to make that money back. And Marjan say also, if you look at any other coal companies accidents in Kentucky, they are all non-union. Yeah, they don't want unions. A lot of these southern states don't want, and Midwestern states, they don't want unions because if they have a union, then they have to give those breaks. They have to pay a fair wage because the union go in there and negotiate your wage every three. When I was in the union, it was every 3 years, and with the union, you're more susceptible to retire nicely, and your benefits are going to be there, and they're going to get you health benefits. We had all kind of benefits when I retired, but at the end of the day, the type of job that I had, a lot of people don't even retire from these jobs no more. It's not idealistic now. These companies, like back in the day when we were working, it was idealistic for you to stay at your job for 20 or 30 years and then retire from that job. That's not the deal today. Now the companies don't want you there. If you stay there too long, they want to try to get rid of you because they don't want you retiring at their company. Because if you retire at that company, they got to pay you retirement benefits, and they possibly have to pay your health care if you have a union. So that's why they try to bust up the unions, and that's why they are against unions, because they don't want to pay people fair wages. And the union is the reason why you have safety laws. The union is the reason why you have a fair wage. The union is the reason why you get days off on the weekends or whatever days. Even if you don't get them on the weekends, you still get 2 days a week off. The union had to come in because they was exploiting workers so bad, in the 20s and 30s and 40s, to whereas the union had to come into play so that people could get a fair wage and a fair living condition and a fair safety place to work. Because if it wasn't for a union, your job wouldn't even be safe. They wouldn't have to follow any of those safety rules that they follow.
It's just like my grandmother grew up in a town called Vanceboro, North Carolina, and I say about the size of Dalton, maybe a little smaller than Dalton, the village of Dalton. And a lot of the people in that town thought they was very uppity people because they worked in factories and they were making money with the factories. But I say about 75%, 70 to 75% of the people done had so many back surgeries, neck surgeries, knee surgery, feet surgery, leg surgeries, so many surgeries on their body because their body broke down. When they finally stopped working factory work, their body had broke down. They're not even enjoying life now. They retired and can't even enjoy it because their health is terrible. They can barely walk. They're bent over. Their necks, they done had surgery on their neck, surgery on their back, knees, hip, everything, because they were standing on the floor for so long. The money was good, but they didn't see the long term of them breaking down behind it. And they were working so much to have brick homes and, fancy houses and buy a lot of land and try to look to a point that they were killing their bodies in the long term. And then at that time, they gave you 30-minute breaks, they gave you a 30-minute break, then a 15-minute break, and a 30-minute lunch. That was it. That's all they had. But they worked you like a dog, 8 to 10
That's how my
hours.
company was. You got a 30-minute lunch. It used to be an hour until George Bush came in office and messed the economy up. So then they pushed everybody down to 30-minute lunches and 2 15-minute breaks. But a brilliant say home health care is $26.50 with full benefits in her state. And I guarantee you, she probably in a northern state. She definitely ain't in the South making that type of money,
And
because the southern states are the ones who pay people the least money. The southern states are the ones who take advantage of the people the most, and have all these work. That's why it's the South that has all these right to work states, because they don't care about people, they care about money. And they're capitalistic states. And you see a lot of businesses in the South, because a lot of the governors in the South don't make the businesses pay taxes. And so, yeah, Texas got a lot of industry here. We'll probably get some more industry here, but the more industry and manufacturing we have here, the higher the wages are going to go, because people are not going to go to work at those places for nothing. And even like especially like in Houston, Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, our bigger cities, they demand higher wages. Like if you're in Dallas, you're gonna most jobs in Dallas is going to start you anywhere from 13 to 15 to 20, maybe $20 an hour, because of the metropolitan city, and the cost of living is higher. And so the bigger the city in Texas, the more money that you can make. So Alice said that means that people don't pay attention to their regular statements concerning their 401k. And even if they pay attention to it, Alice, if they don't know how to read it, they don't know what it means anyway. You really, if you don't understand it and you're in the stock market, that's what those brokers are there for. They're there for you. They work for you. And it doesn't cost you any money to call and find out what's going on with your 401k. They're obligated to give you answers and give you correct answers, and not try to convince you to do anything or to give you false information. They have to tell you the truth. That's one thing the stock market will do. And she said, I thought Washington was bad. 3 beams run for 2,500. 3 bedrooms run for 2,500. And 4 is 28 to 29, because Marjan said in Arizona is $1,700 for a 1-bedroom apartment. And that's basically, even in Texas, the rent has tripled within the last decade. Rent has tripled everywhere. And it's really a shame, because people are not making the wages. They're not okay. So you're in Washington and in Seattle. Yeah, I figure you were, I figure you wasn't in the South of brilliant making that type of money.
Not in the
And
South.
yeah, Oregon always have good wages also. But it's the South that try to keep people oppressed and try to keep them down and try to pay them the lowest wages. And you better not spit on the sidewalk the wrong way, because you're going to get the most time in jail in the South. That it is what it is here. And you possibly, depending on what you do, you might get the electric chair, because they still believe in that real big in the South. So
Sure do.
you say a lot of mountain and green trees is very earthy, hippie kind of state. Beautiful, but different. Yeah.
And see, with me, I moved when my husband was alive. I had moved to North Carolina, so our money could go further, because I couldn't afford a home care aid here in DC. So we moved to the eastern part of North Carolina, because the cost of living was cheaper and the apartments were cheaper. Man, I was still working, so I figured I could go down to North Carolina and still work with some, like the police department or something, since that's what I did most of my life. Them good old boys said, no, ma'am. Not coming down here with Homeland background. I couldn't get a job. I couldn't even get a job as a security guard at the hospital. I had to move out to Charlotte to get a decent job. So that's another thing about the South. They still got the good old boys. They're still running a lot of these cities, towns, and counties. And they're still going by the old ways. They're not changing. And the ones that are changing is because the good old boys are gone. They're no longer there. And the younger ones are saying, look, we got to bring some revenue in and make some money. So they're changing everything. But the older ones, they still hung up on the old ways and trying to hold on to it. So that's the reason why we have the problems we have it, because we got too many old people in Congress that
Exactly.
need to sit down.
Exactly. And it's not going to work for long. I say probably within the next 15 to 20 years, America going to make a big shift, because a lot of those old people that's in office, they're no longer going to be on this earth. And the
Uh-huh.
more we get younger people in, and the more people we get with open ideas and open to reality, the better off America is going to be. But it's still going to take a while. I say it's probably going to take another 20 to 50 years for America to really totally get rid of racism and stop worrying about what color people are and what country they come from, and just start getting along with everybody, with just everybody getting along and really trying to achieve the same goal, which is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Because
And the
that's
problem,
basically what everybody is looking for. But institutionalized rules and regulations have put a lot of people behind, and the fact that white people can blame people of color for their problems, when in actuality it's not the people of color that's causing you these problems. It's really your politicians that's making dumb decisions to outsource your job overseas. And the
uh-huh.
reason why they're leaving America, because they don't want to pay these taxes, and they can get cheaper labor overseas. It costs less money to build things, and that's why a lot of these corporations moved overseas. But a lot of them gonna have to come back home because homeboy messing everything up for them. So with this tariff war that he's having, even Mexico, and I think Mexico putting people out. They're
Uh,
putting our people out in other countries. Yes, they are. Since we're putting people out of our country, they're returning the favor. And it's advised at this point for nobody to travel outside of the country, especially if you're an immigrant, because there's a big possibility that you might not get back in the country. And even if you're not an immigrant, I just wouldn't advise nobody to leave this country, because who knows what Agent Orange is going to wake up on who knows what day he's going to wake up and say, well, don't let nobody back in. If they leave, make them stay. I can see him doing that.
well,
No
you
matter if
know,
you're no matter if you're a citizen or not. So it's really not going to be that. It's not going to be that. To me, you better try to stay in this country if you want to live in this country. I would say don't leave the country, no matter who you are and where you come from.
well, at one time, he went up on the tariff in Mexico, and they closed the gate. The people was going over there to get their medication. They closed the
Uh-huh.
gate on them.
Yeah, in
It's,
Canada.
no, in Mexico. Mexico
Oh, in
had closed
Mexico.
the,
Yeah, yeah. I know Mexico and Canada is making us leave.
and
and
also Canada,
and they're
they had
taking
the,
our products out of their countries too. That's why I said it's a lot of they talking about bringing the jobs back, baby. Y'all ain't got to worry about it. It's a lot of jobs finna get ready to come back, because they're gonna kick them out of their country. Like we kicking people out of our country, they're gonna
uh-huh.
be kicking these corporations and stuff out of their country also.
And what it is, Canada at one time, certain well, their states, they have different states. I think a couple of their states were telling their people, do not order anything from the red states, only order from the blue states.
Yeah.
And then when they threatened to turn off the electricity to part of New York, Ohio, and Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
that's when they say, look, you need to back off Canada for a moment. So now, one state of Canada, they're moving all their stuff north. So then none of that coming to the United States now. They're getting ready to implement their stuff going north to house some of the areas up north and making a deal with them. And then you got Alaska, Mexico, all these different places using going to other countries, and he don't realize he's making China rich.
Hmm. Yeah, because other countries are making other deals with other countries. They're
Right.
they're all they're banding together, and really, we used to be the beacon on the hill, and now we're gonna be the poop on the hill. Nobody,
uh-huh.
people are gonna start looking at America as if we're a third world country, as if they don't know us. They don't know us anymore, and rightfully so, because of the crazy decisions that he's making. And it's not that he's gonna look bad, it's gonna be bad for all of us just because of him, and because of him implementing all these crazy laws.
Uh-huh.
We're not welcome anywhere else, and even if you go somewhere else, it may not be safe for you because of what he's doing, and people may retaliate against you. I know people don't think that that's true, and people may not understand may not believe what I'm saying, but trust me when I tell you, if you don't believe me, then look at the news. The news is telling people not to leave the country.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't I said what I said saying this is what the news people are reporting. And I'm following the Midas Touch. I follow MSNBC. See, I watch a little bit of CNN because they kind of becoming state media. So I try to watch all of the non-biased and news reports. And I look at all of the news clips on YouTube, no matter if it's Fox News or whoever. I try to watch all different type of news media so that I can get a well-rounded view and figure out what everybody is talking about. Not just the people that I like, but the people that I don't like. I watch them too, i.e. News Nation, Fox News, even Joe Rogan. I listen to what he have to say, which he's turning the corner now. Now
Mm-hmm.
everybody's regretting their vote now, but it's a little bit too little too late. So now basically you need to figure out what you're going to do about it, because you've already done put this guy in office. So now they need to keep doing what they doing. They all marching in the streets, and it need to be more than who's marching in the streets. Now all of us people of color, y'all sit this one out. This ain't y'all fight. Y'all didn't put him in there, so y'all don't need to go out there and fight for him.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Now when we don't need to go out there because he want us out there so that he can declare martial law. He's not going to declare martial law on his people because he knows it's going to be too much backlash for that. And that's why you seen the clear people out there marching and not us.
And some of them have even came on
Oh,
different.
you welcome, Alice. She said, thanks for taking one for the team for watching all the news media. You welcome, Alice.
And I'm with you. I be doing the same thing. I be watching all of them too. Um,
Yeah, you have to so you can know what's going on. And I even actually resubscribed to Twitter. I was off of Twitter, but I got back on Twitter just so I can keep up with MAGA and see what they're doing. Yeah, I didn't want to get back on it, but I got back on it for, for news reasons, for news purposes.
but I just like I was sitting back, and some of the clear people have got on different content creators like TYT and Midas Touch,
I don't
and they
like that.
said, look, they said, look, this is not your fight. You all
Right.
stay home. We got this. Let us do our thing. You have fought for us for long enough. It's our turn.
Well, I showed the last time I had a political show, I showed a clip where they were telling us that too. So I wholeheartedly believe what you're saying, because I actually had a clip myself where this white man was telling us this ain't our fight. He want to declare martial law, and that's where I got that from. And to tell people, not go out there in the streets and fight. But we wasn't going out there anyway. They didn't have to tell us that, because we had already made our minds up that we wasn't going out there, because the 92% voted for who we wanted in office, and they disregarded what we voted for. And so this is their problem. They put him in office, they need to take him out by
Yep.
any means necessary.
And see, right now, they can't. The people are marching, but you got some of those Republicans that's scared to go up against them. I forgot what Republican that what's her name? The girl from Texas.
Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah, Jasmine. And said one Republican said they had threatened he had voted on something that they did in the House, and they threatened his family. And so he now just quiet. He won't even, if he vote, you'll never know he said anything. He won't talk to nobody because they threatened his family.
Oh, Jasmine Crockett is the black lady. I thought you were talking about a lady. I didn't know you were talking about a guy.
No, I'm
You're,
talking about Jasmine Crockett, but she was saying one of her colleagues, a Republican, he was
oh, okay.
talking to her about he got threatened because he voted with them on something that they were trying to pass, and somebody had reported it that he did that, and they threatened his family.
Well, that's what Trump is about, though. If
He,
you don't vote the way he want to vote, that's why come to all of them say that they scared of him.
mm-hmm.
And but they're not as afraid as him as they're afraid of black people, though. But they always say that they're afraid of him, but I think it's just an excuse so that they can vote with him. I don't think they're all that afraid of him. And they're in Congress, so they can get security if they need to. They make enough money to get it.
Well, I don't know about the security because those that don't vote for him, you see what happened with Biden? They took his security. They took his security and somebody else's. Somebody else he took.
No, they took his security clearance. They can't take his security away from him. They can't take Secret Service. That's a lifetime of. It's nothing Trump can do about that. If you're an ex-president, you're gonna get Secret Service. They took his security clearance where he won't get classified information anymore.
And I'm like, wow, really? You know, but I mean, like I said, everybody fussing about the gentleman giving out information. I said to his wife and all them people, I said, he done gave information to Russia. You didn't see that he's on their newspaper as one of the editors on one of Russia's papers. The same
Yeah.
guy he got over Homeland Security is the same one that got he's part of the with so you know how much information Putin getting now.
Yeah, they say Elon Musk shared the information, or I
Mhm.
wasn't sure if it was Elon Musk or if it was Trump.
It was Elon Musk.
Yeah.
They showed it on Midas Touch. They even showed the article and the who was on there with him, his comments in their online online chat, and then they showed his name up there as one of the editors.
hmm
And I said, so, and
Was
then
that Congressman named Ron White, right?
right, that's him.
The one that got threatened.
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
like, but my thing is, right now, like I said, our biggest problem, even if they get rid of Trump and get rid of Elon Musk, do you know how long it's going to take for them to repair what they done damage?
Yeah.
It's going to take longer.
Some of it is not going to be repaired though. Some of it, a lot of times when they do stuff, it stays the same when the next person get in office. They don't want to change it.
Well, they're going to have to. They're going to have to come back and repair it because
Well,
right
they'll
now,
they'll repair. I'm not saying everything, but some things just going to stay the same. Like these high prices, they're not going nowhere. It's just like when the houses crisis happened. Remember how cheap the houses were before the housing crisis. Well, after the housing crisis, after Obama secured the economy and got everything back on track, the houses still didn't go back down to the price that they were. And that's what I'm talking about. Some things are not going to change no matter what they do. Even if they try to put it back, inflation is going to be up. So, inflation is going to continue to happen in stagflation. So some of these prices are not going anywhere.
and
Like
just
the
like I was
rent,
telling,
like the rent, 1,700 to 2,000, that ain't gonna go nowhere. Watch and see. It's still gonna be the same. Even though
you're
they
right.
fix a lot of other stuff, some other stuff is still gonna, whatever they set the president at, that's where it's gonna stay. Watch and see.
Oh, I believe that. And the
Yeah.
thing is, my thing is our security of this. Okay, they're trying to take it back to during the Civil War time. But he's so busy trying to work with the United States and manipulate the United States, you always look over your shoulder. Now you got other countries that getting stronger, getting more
Mhm.
financially better than us. They could come over here and start trying to take over the United States because we weak.
Yeah, they banding together. But basically, though, and the whole thing about it is, I don't know why they put no faith in this idiot. Okay, what they're trying to do is implement Project 2025, but this buffoon, uh, this dude is so stupid. He can't follow the game plan. He wanna puff his chest out. He wanna look like such a strong man, such an intelligent man, till he can't follow the playbook. They laid the playbook down for him, and what he does is he go in there and pick and choose what he want out the playbook, and he leave the rest of it on the table. And so that's why come everything is falling apart. So Project 2025 is probably not going to even be able to be implemented because he's breaking so many laws and doing so much other stupid stuff where the courts is going to stop him. They're already beginning to stop him. And I already knew a lot of the stuff that he wanted to do. I already knew that the courts they was going to put up with it for so long, but it's only been 3 months and they already stopping this food. So he's not going to be able to implement Project 2025 is not happening. Y'all want it to happen, but it ain't going to happen because he's too stupid to make it happen.
Right. And
He's too stupid to make he's too stupid to implement all of the plays.
see, they were trying to do it when he was in there before, but they had people that stopped it then. So
Right.
now he figured they ain't got the people in there to stop him. They can go ahead and really implement it now.
Yeah, but you got to have some people to implement it. You put in all stupid people, so they don't know how to implement things. They can't walk and chew gum at the same time. It's the whole thing about it. whatever they do is it doesn't make sense, and it's against the Constitution. So that's why I say Project 2025 ain't gonna get to happen. Some of the things may happen, but y'all gonna have to put that y'all gonna put that playbook up for another president that's got some sense, because this one ain't got none. He ain't got sense enough to implement y'all plan.
Now,
Fortunately for the American public.
now watch
But
what happened. They're gonna put a Democrat back in there to try to get the United States back on track again.
well, we always have to put it. Yeah, we always have to, fix their
And but
messes.
but this time it's gonna be worse because
Mhm.
no, because what happened is, like I said, Elon Musk done came in there. He done tapped into the system. He done messed up the system. What was it? Somebody they said, what was it? 500 people, 500 people. They done set up there and removed their social security number. So they had to reissue them social security numbers all over again.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Elon Musk is gonna tell it on him. He's already telling it on him because he's losing his money, and see, that's the whole thing. They, how can I put this? They're not loyal. Like Chris Brown said, these bees ain't loyal. Ain't none of them bees in office is loyal. They're not loyal to each other. They don't know how to fight the fight, and they all gonna get their marbles and take them back. Remember, I told y'all they're gonna be like crabs in a barrel. I know somebody remember me saying this. They're gonna eat each other up like crabs in a barrel, and that's what's getting ready to happen. Watch and see. And then in the midterms, um, the Democrats are going to be in office, and I wholeheartedly believe they're going to impeach him. And the Republicans going to be tired of him, and the public is going to demand that he get impeached. They're not going to want to do it, but they're going to have to do it, because if they want to be back in office again, and it's going to be such a big bruising next year when we have the midterms, if they get the floor wiped, they get wiped out. We mop the floor with them. Oh, they'll get rid of him, because now you're talking about their power and you're talking about their job. Although they're relinquishing power to him, they still want them nice, cushiony offices. They want them people working for them. They want their little team. They want their little office. They want their little prestige, and they want that title. So if they want all of that, then they're going to have to prove themselves. And in order to prove themselves, all they folks is already in the streets marching. And you think we seeing them in the street marching now? It's going to be more than this. And when the more that they lose, the more they're going to spill out into them streets, and the more the more susceptible they're going to be getting rid of him. Watch and see. I don't see him finishing out 4 years. I see him getting impeached next year once the Democrats win the House, and they possibly could win the Senate also. And everybody that want to keep their job, they'll go along with it. They just don't. The public is not demanding for them to go along with it right now. And everybody, they haven't lost enough. It's only been 90 days. Give it until probably about let's give it to Christmas. By the time everybody get through, when they get tired of losing, because he told them they're going to get tired of winning, but they're going to get tired of losing. And once they lose everything, they'll get rid of them. Watch and see. So I'm not concerned about it. I'm just sitting back eating my popcorn and watching it all go down. Meanwhile, my money in annuity, so I ain't worried about stock market.
See, I got mine. Look, I have my money. I put my money in CDs.
Listen, people, put your money in an annuity if you can. And that's the safest way for right now until this fool get out of office, and then you can go back into the stock market if you dibbling and dabbling in the stock market. That's my advice to everybody. But what is your final thoughts? Because it's 12 o'clock, and I don't want to keep people up no longer. I'm an hour over. I said I was going to do 2 hours, but I never get to do 2 hours anyway. I always have too much to say.
Okay,
and my videos took up a whole hour and a half. I know.
Yes,
and me talking. Yeah.
But my thing is, I want to tell all of us, the other day I saw that they had took the meats off the shelves in Walmart and Target, and they took some of the produce off. So I don't know. They said it because of the people, who they've been making deals with to get the food, the meats and the produce, which I think is part of tariff. That's just my opinion. So what I'm telling people now, if you know any farmers, Black farmers, because they're the only ones that ain't losing their farms, you might want to go and get some produce. You said the produce stands, go get you some produce from there. Any places they got meat markets, go stock up your freezer with meats, because I think it's going to be more of that. being pulled from the shelves in the future, in the way he's going with it. And I'm just giving you, that's just my opinion from what I'm saying with Walmart and Target. So if Walmart and Target, and they're supposed to be one of the cheaper ones of the grocery stores to give out meats at a good price and a bulk of it, and they're taking the produce off the shelves too, you might want to start stocking up.
Well, I went to go get some gas today. I went to 2 different gas stations, and I tried to put some premium unleaded gas in my car. I'm thinking something wrong with me or the gas tank, right? Because no gas ain't pouring out. And so, okay, the first one, okay, it might be out of gas. So I took it at that face value. So I'll go across the street to try to get some premium unleaded gas. They don't have no premium unleaded gas. Ain't nobody got no sign up saying we ain't got no gas or nothing. Everybody just letting you FO about the gas station, about the gas pump or whatever. And so I went back. I got mad after the second one. I got hot. So I go in there and I'm like, why y'all ain't got no sign saying that you don't have no gas? I said, what's going on with the premium unleaded? Oh, we're out of that. I said, well, why you ain't got no sign? Why you got people thinking there's something going on with them or their credit card or what have you? And you got people wasting their time. You can just put, well, somebody must have took it off. I said, well, then you need to come back out here and put another one out here then and quit wasting folks' time. But we're running out of, we don't have no premium unleaded gas here in my town. And so I went to one more gas station. I only put a few dollars in there of unleaded gas because my car need premium unleaded. And so I drove to another gas station. Ain't no premium unleaded gas. Don't look like we don't have no premium unleaded gas in town. So now I'm going to have to do the gas buddy thing and find out who got some premium unleaded gas in town so I can put some gas in my vehicle. But they're not saying anything about it.
But it's on TikTok.
So it's already started. It's already started.
Go on TikTok. Those that have TikTok, go on TikTok about Walmart and the foods, and you'll see it. You'll see them stacking it and putting them in the carts and putting the meats in the buggy carts, as they call them, putting it in there and taking it in the back. They're taking the eggs, putting them in the back. They're taking the dairy, the produce, and the meats.
Oh, I believe you because that's what I'm saying. I couldn't find no gas today, so I wholeheartedly believe you. But I'm just saying I didn't see it and I was on TikTok last night and all week, and I haven't seen anything from my city saying that they ran out of gas. That's what I'm saying.
And see, this the thing is, as people are asking, online, what's going on? What's going on? Why are they pulling it? Why are they pulling it? And Walmart and Target's not telling anybody what's going on. So they finally came out with somebody, I forgot what news station, and I never heard of, but I Googled it and found out they said it's the distribution company. They pulling their meats. They're not selling any more meats, and they pulling their meats back.
Well, that's okay. I heard that on another content creator on Our Plugs. And also, too, guys, let me give you let me tell y'all about Our Plugs because they're a great business for Black businesses, right? And so if you have a business, a Black-owned business, and you're trying to get your name out there, go to Our Plugs and sign up with them because it's like a directory with all Black business people. And thank you for reminding me. Let me bring this up here. They're on YouTube also. It's called Our Plugs Community Connection. And basically, if you got any type of business and you're a Black business owner, you can connect with Our Plugs, and they have their own channel on YouTube, or you can go to their YouTube channel, and it'll tell you how to link up with them. And basically, whatever your business is, they're trying to do like a directory, like Yelp, right? And it's where all Black businesses will be in one spot, and you just connect with them, and you can. Now I know if you're not a business person, you can join for free just to have access to all the vendors that's connected with Our Plugs. And they got a few vendors that's selling a lot of different things, and right now they're kind of small, but DJ Kitty and Miss Morningstar, they're trying to grow this platform, and they're trying to grow this directory up for us Black people. And so get connected with Our Plugs and go to their YouTube channel and put your business in there if you have a Black business and you want to try to advertise. And they said that they have streamlined rates where you can join them. And let me find I'm gonna find their website on YouTube, and I mean their page, and I'm gonna put their page on YouTube here. and you can finish saying your last thoughts, uh, Foxy Roxy. But that just made me, that just reminded me, because I've been meaning to tell everybody about our plugs. And that
Okay.
just reminded me to tell people. And they have like different vendors for fitness, nutrition, food, clothes. Somebody on there doing coupons. So they got all type of little vendors that you can check them out. And check out their website and see if it's anything on there that you want to purchase. And like I said, they're all black vendors. So if you want to buy black and people of color, because I think they do all people of color, not just black people, but it's the majority black. But they also have, other vendors of people of color. And so, yeah, get connected with them. And if you have your own business, you definitely can advertise on their site, and they'll get you hooked up. Where is that at?
Also, okay, Alice posted it on there for you.
Oh, okay, good, because I can't find a thing, Alice. Thank you.
Also, my last thing I want to put out there, all those, because we're not sure about our medical at this time as far as prescriptions,
Mm-hmm.
you can go to drugs.com. If you have name brand, now the generic, they're not, the manufacturing companies are not going to cover that. But if it's a
Mm-hmm.
name brand company like Sanofi that deal with Lantus, diabetic medication,
Mm-hmm.
you can go to drugs.com, look up your medication, find out who the pharmaceutical company is, download the application, take it to your doctor, have them to fill it out for you, have them to send it in to the pharmaceutical company. If you qualify for it, which most likely a lot of us will qualify for it, you can get free medication until your insurance kick in or you get insurance. If you have insurance and you're in the donut hole, it will help you when you're in the donut hole to keep from paying the market price. You can use it at that time and they give you free medication till your Social Security or your insurance kick back in. And then you go back to, the price that you would pay for, through your insurance. So
Oh,
this
great
is something,
information, Foxy.
it's called drugs.com. Go down the list, find your medication, look for patient assistance. Those that do work and you don't have insurance, you can also go in there and you can do drugs.com or that company's coupons to get a discount on your medication. And
Is
sometimes
it better than Good RX?
sometimes it is, depends on the medication. Like Lantus or something that's like diabetes, it's really good for them. And a lot of people are on diabetic medication, so it
Mm-hmm.
helps a lot with that.
Yeah.
And see, the
Well,
reason I
I was
know
just wondering because Good RX does the same thing, so I was just wondering if it was better than Good
Good
RX.
RX helps with some medications,
But
you
not
know,
all.
but not all. Because I tried it one time with one of my medication for my blood pressure that was name brand, and they were telling me it was good for me to use the company's coupon better than Good RX. So I did,
Oh,
and
okay. Well,
so
this is
sometimes
pertinent. Yeah, this is pertinent information that we're gonna need because baby, we're getting ready to go. We're getting ready to take a ride, and so all the resources that you can use or have. If I know about any of them and I do a live, I'm definitely gonna try to bring that information to you. To try to help out or anything that I hear about because, like I said, we're getting ready to be on the roller coaster, guys, and we're gonna have to get ready for it. And like she said, and I saw it on social media too that the shelves are getting ready to be empty because of the tariffs. So
mhm.
whatever you can stock up on, it's gonna be like like C-19. I almost said the word. It's gonna be like the C-19 era is where we're heading to. So whatever you can stock up on, I just highly advise everybody, to stock up on what they can because the things may get scarce again, like COVID, like the C-19 time.
Right. And that's why I said I want to go out here and put that out because I work for a pharmaceutical company and that's how I found that out. And a lot of us didn't know. That's why when it came down to the prices on medicine and everything, people didn't know how to denotes that the clear people weren't worried about it. It was us that was worried about it. We was the ones that couldn't get the medication because we didn't know that this is what they were using. And when I was
Oh,
working there and I heard more of them, than us calling
But
in.
we all fixing to be in the same boat now. So everybody finna know about everything right now, because everybody finna be in the same boat. When I tell you this ain't no joke, it's not gonna be a joke, and I can guarantee you by the time the end of the year hit, we're all gonna be feeling the burn and the pain. You can rest assured of that.
So, and I wanted to put it out there, drugs.com, for those that, work, that don't have jobs, they could use it now.
Yeah, I got you. Did you have any other final thoughts?
No, that was it. I just enjoyed it. It was been an honor to be on here with you. I know you've been on there for me sometimes, so it's an honor to be on here with you. And I, of course, as always, I enjoy
Okay.
being on here with you, and just to hear your voice sometimes just make me smile.
Oh, that's so sweet. I appreciate that, Roxy. And I left you a message in the back chat, so make sure you read that for me in the private chat.
Okay.
But I would like to thank each and every last one of you guys for joining me tonight. This has been something that's been burning on my chest, and I've been wanting to get out. And I'm glad. I'm pleased with how it all came together. I was hoping that all of the stories kind of correlated together. And it's by the hair of my little chinny. It just seemed like they all kind of came together. They all correlated together. Hey, Queen Black, thanks for joining us. And I do appreciate you guys taking out the time to listen to me and to hear what I have to say. And I'll be back. I don't know when I'll be back. Probably next time I come back, I'm probably going to be doing it with Victor DeVale so we can finish up Big U. And I'm going to get in contact with her on Instagram and see when we're going to finish that. But you guys have a great night. Good night to each and every last one of you guys. And I'll see you when I come back again. Y'all have a good night. And thank you once again to everybody. And thank you for the new subscribers. I appreciate that also. And you guys have a great night.
I join the channel, is what you need. True crime stories, secrets they'll feed. Say that gossip and political heat. I said what I said, bring to me. Truth comes, but we're never late, yeah. Diamond stories inside fate, oh no. Welcome to a place where voices speak. Tune in now, indulge every week. Who's in the spotlight, who took the fall? We got the scoops, we covering it all. From high society to those who recall. I said when I said stories that will end sprawl, yeah. Truth turns why we're never late. Oh, no stone unturned, we're here to